Chapter 574. Seven Seas City, City Lord's Mansion. There were only 3 days left until the Spring Plowing Festival. According to tradition, this was the day when all the major vassals of the Seven Seas province would have an audience with Tang Lan. Although Tang Lan was in Lanyan City, all the vassals had received invitations and rushed over from all over. Warhorses and carriages streamed into the Duke's mansion in an endless stream, and as one of the commanders of the Tang family, Tang Su, was in charge of all matters. The banquet was arranged in the mansion's main hall. Tang Lan had always lived a simple life, but only this main hall was magnificently decorated. A total of 17 vassals entered the main hall, and the attendants began to busy themselves with wine and dishes. In the blink of an eye, the banquet was filled with the aroma of food and wine, and everyone took their seats. Tang Su cupped his fists and said, "There are matters to be discussed in the main hall, so I would like to invite all the lord's guards and womenfolk to the side hall for a meal. I hope everyone will be magnanimous enough to forgive any inconveniences." Everyone was stunned. Among them, Count of Heavenly Secrets Lu Zhong said to his 2 sons beside him, "Chong, Shan, you 2 go to the side hall for a meal. Father will be staying here." "Yes, Father." The group of guards and servants dispersed, and in the blink of an eye, there were only 17 people and Tang Su left in the main hall. However, anyone with a discerning eye could see that behind Tang Su was a group of 7 Seas City Iron Guards. This group of people was clad in full armor, with swords hanging from their waists, and their eyes shone with faint killing intent under their helmets. For a moment, all the vassals felt somewhat uneasy, and one after another, they took their seats. Tang Su loudly said, "Close the door." Creak, the door to the main hall slowly closed, and even bolted it. "Commander Tang Su, why is this?" Among the crowd, an old man asked. "Reporting to old General Zhou Chong, because there are some matters that need to be kept secret." Tang Su smiled faintly and said, "Men, invite the young lord." "Young lord?" Zhou Chong, Lu Zhong and the rest were all startled. Everyone knew that the 7 Seas City Tang family had no more descendants. The last 2 direct descendants, Tang Lu and Tang Tian, had been assassinated. Almost everyone thought that Tang Lan would choose a successor from Tang Su, Tang Shi and Tang Zhen. Where did the young master come from? The side door of the hall slowly opened, and a person completely covered in a black cloak was carried in by 2 guards. He lifted the cloak, revealing a terrifying face that had been burned. He said with a slight smile, "What? Could it be that sirs don't recognize me, Tang Lu?" Zhou Chong was stunned. He hurriedly knelt down and cupped his fists. "Young master didn't die. That's great, the Tang family has a successor." Tang Lu said indifferently, "Many thanks to old General Zhou Chong. I'm indeed not dead. Lin Muyu wants to harm me, and the Empress Qin Yin wants to harm me. But I won't die so easily. Our Tang family is tenacious and unyielding, so how could we submit to them?" Lu Zhong's sword-like brows were tightly locked together as he listened to Tang Lu's words without saying a word. "Sirs, please take your seats." Tang Lu said, "Just like in the past, eat and drink to your heart's content first, then we'll discuss the important matters of the 7 Seas province." Everyone didn't dare to disobey. One by one, they cupped their fists respectfully and started to eat and drink. But the main door was locked, and Tang Lu had appeared in the main hall in an extremely strange manner, causing everyone to unconsciously feel their hair stand on end. This meal was bound to be a bad one. After 3 rounds of wine, Tang Lu raised his voice and said, "Sirs, please listen to me, Tang Lu." Everyone said, "Please speak, young master." Tang Lu said, "You are all loyal vassals of my Tang family and have enjoyed the Tang family's fief for many years. As you can see, the 7 Seas province is rich and populous, nurturing countless talents. We have already recruited 400,000 soldiers, and nearly 300,000 of these soldiers are in your hands. Originally, the Tang family serving the empire and the Qin family was a matter of heaven and earth. However, we were suspected and hated by others, and grandfather was bullied and humiliated in Lanyan City. It was to the extent that the person sitting on the throne wanted to obliterate my Tang family, and even sent trusted generals to assassinate my younger brother Tang Tian, and fortunately, I was spared from death, but little brother Tian has already died tragically in the North Ridge province. My Tang family's loyalty can be seen by the heavens and earth, yet we have received such a result. All the vassals were silent, and no one dared to express their opinion. All of them were waiting for Tang Lu's next words. So, Tang Lu smiled and said, "I have prepared a blood covenant flag for the lords. Men, bring it over." 2 guards walked over with a war flag. The flag had the emblem of the Tang sect on it, an extremely beautiful 7-cord begonia. Tang Lu said, "As long as you write your name on this blood covenant flag with blood, you will be loyal to my Tang family. Everyone, the empire is vast and boundless, but there is no longer a place for my 7 Seas Tang sect. If we do not protect ourselves, we will be wiped from the empire's map by Qin Yin." Lu Zhong's face was ashen as he said, "Young master, is he going to form his own sect?" "That's right." Tang Lu smiled and said, "Uncle Tianji can see through fire. Since Qin Yin is heartless, we cannot sit and wait for death. Lords, the Tang family prospers, you will prosper. If the Tang family is defeated, you will be defeated. After writing your name on the blood covenant flag, the alliance will take effect. If Qin Yin moves against our 7 Seas province, we will fight to the death." The old general Zhou Chong couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air and said, "Young master, we are rebelling against our superiors. The Tang family has been loyal to the empire for 100 years. How can it be destroyed in our hands?" "Old general." The corners of Tang Lu's mouth curled up. "Aren't you being too soft-hearted? In ancient times, it was said that an unbenevolent ruler can be replaced by an official. Presently, Qin Yin dotes on Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, Zhen Yifan, and the others. They disdain our Tang family and make things difficult for us in all aspects. They even harm the descendants of our Tang sect. If we don't take the initiative to attack, then it is equivalent to waiting for death. Do you want a lifetime of glory, or do you want your heads to roll?" A young general in the crowd stood up and cupped his fists. "Young master, I, Dong Chan, have received the grace of the emperor for generations. When the late Emperor Qin Jin was alive, he even rewarded my father many times. Now that my father has passed away, Dong Chan is absolutely not willing to do anything disloyal and unjust. If young master wants to rebel against Qin, then I, Dong Chan, am not willing to join you." As he spoke, Dong Chan stood up and left in a huff. "You're courting death." Tang Lu raised his palm, and the god condensation seal of a heavenly king tore through the sky and smashed onto Dong Chan's back with a bang. Dong Chan didn't even have the chance to let out a shrill cry before he fell against the wall and died. A large charred hole had been burned into his back, and the state of his death was extremely horrifying. "Is there anyone else who isn't willing to submit to my Tang clan?" Tang Lu gazed indifferently at the crowd and said, "Is there anyone who isn't willing to submit? Feel free to stand up." Everyone was horrified. Tang Lu actually killed a vassal in public. How audacious and presumptuous of him. In the crowd, Lu Zhong cupped his fists while trembling. Old General Lu Zhong is willing to follow young master. Since the Qin clan isn't benevolent, then we won't be benevolent as well. The population of the 7 Seas province is in the tens of millions. If Qin Yin isn't benevolent, then we can split the land and confer the title of king. There's no need to follow the orders of others." Tang Lu couldn't help but laugh. Uncle Tianji really is a wise man who submits to circumstances. Come, divide the Dong clan's territory to Uncle Tianji, and hand over all the military power of the Dong clan to Uncle Tianji. Lu Zhong walked forward, bit open his index finger, and wrote his name on the war flag. Subsequently, the second and third people wrote their names in succession. Who wouldn't be afraid of death? After all, everyone lived to seek glory, splendor, and wealth, and the so-called loyalty was sometimes just empty words. Zhou Chong was the last old general to write his name. When he finished writing his name while trembling, he couldn't help but sigh. From today onward, I'm afraid there's no turning back. Tang Lu sneered. Old general, why do you say that? Could it be that old general has already determined that my Tang clan won't be able to succeed? Zhou Chong didn't say anything, and he just walked back to his seat dejectedly and drank cup after cup of wine. Tang Lu placed his hands on the table and slowly stood up. Generals of the Tang clan, listen up. Everyone left their seats and knelt down. Boundless rage and unwillingness surged into Tang Lu's eyes as he said, the Qin clan is heartless, so we can only be unjust. From today onward, seal off the 7 seas and prohibit all trade with the North Ridge province. Everyone, hurry back to your fief tomorrow morning and complete a task for my Tang Lu. First, kill all the magistrates of the provinces and counties within the fief, then destroy the Sage Temple and take all the troops gathered within the Sage Temple as our own. Those who don't obey will be killed without mercy. Everyone was terrified, and they responded with uneven voices. Yes, Tang Lu narrowed his eyes as he looked at everyone. In half a month, lead all the troops within the fief to the 7 Seas city for a meeting. All the troops within the 7 Seas province will be trained and resupplied. Besides that, send more people to forge the Tang clan's begonia flower war flag and emblem, and pluck the purple blossom flower. Every single one of our 300,000 troops must wear a begonia flower military emblem. Yes. Lu Zhong immediately raised his hand and plucked the golden purple blossom flower from his collar, and his eyes revealed a cold smile as he said, the Qin clan's era of ruling the continent is completely over, Lanyan City, 7 Seas Palace. In the middle of the night, in a courtyard deep within the 7 Seas Palace, Tang Lan suddenly woke up from a nightmare. He was panting heavily, and his face was somewhat pale. In his dream, he saw Tang Lu covered in blood shouting, "Grandpa, save me," as if it had really happened. Someone come. Your Highness. Outside the door, an old general pushed open the door and entered. Your Highness, what are your orders? Is there any news from the 7 Seas city? Not yet. What's wrong, Your Highness? I suddenly felt uneasy. I'm afraid something is about to happen. Immediately write a letter and send it to the 7 Seas city. Tell Tang Lu not to act blindly without thinking. Now is not the time. Wait for my orders before acting. Yes. The old general paused and said, Your Highness, have you really decided? Tang Lan was dejected, and he looked extremely old. He said, no matter what, I must think for my descendants, so I'm afraid this matter must be carried out. What's the situation over at the Earth Star province? How's the recruitment going? Commander Tang Shi is recruiting soldiers day and night, but how can the population of the Earth Star province be so poor? I'm afraid the total number of soldiers won't exceed 150,000. 150,000. Tang Lan muttered to himself. 550,000 people. It's comparable to the number of soldiers the Yihe kingdom had besieged Lanyan city. Chapter 575. A faint blood-red figure slowly condensed in the dark palace. It was an extremely seductive woman with delicate eyebrows and an enchanting spring look. She stepped on the cold floor barefoot, but if one looked closely, one would find that her body was faintly discernible as if it was transparent. She came to the back of the throne, made a bow and said, Greetings, Holy Emperor. Creak, the throne turned around. The Holy Emperor, who was shrouded in a dark aura, smiled and said, Yaoji, you're back. How was your trip? Yaoji's pretty face was full of joy. She smiled and said, Greetings, Her Highness Ning-er. She's doing well in Lanyan City, but the city is heavily guarded, so I couldn't take her out. But, Your Majesty, Yaoji has another gain from this trip. Oh? What gain? A chess piece that we can plant in the Qin Empire. As long as we control this chess piece, I believe that the land of this continent will be ours. Oh? The Holy Emperor couldn't help but laugh and said, I trust Yaoji. What do you think, Holy Emperor? A ray of light fell from the sky, and the golden light converged into a figure. It was the Holy Emperor in a red robe. He bent his body, and there were rays of divine light circling around him. He bowed and cupped his fists, saying, Your Majesty is wise and mighty. With Yaoji and Marshal Qianfeng leading the three armies, I believe that we will definitely win this battle. Yaoji couldn't help but laugh and said, Congratulations, Holy Emperor, for stepping into the divine realm. It's just a divine realm. The Holy Emperor's eyes were very cold. He said, I don't know how many gods above the sky are spying on our plane. I'm just a divine lord. I'm afraid they don't care about me at all. Your Majesty, I beg you to let me go with Marshal Qianfeng, so that I can refine more souls for my own use and quickly improve my cultivation. As long as there are enough souls, I'm confident that I can become an emperor god within 5 years. Oh? The Saint Emperor placed his hands on the armrests of his chair and smiled. The Saint Teacher is a great leader of our god race. Since that is the case, then follow Marshal Qianfeng. Perhaps. We will personally go to battle and bring Ning home. Yes. Since the Protoss were ready to fight, the humans naturally wouldn't be negligent. Outside the Iha country's capital, 100 Ridge City, the warhorses charged forward, stirring up a cloud of dust. These 100,000 cavalrymen were all the elites of the Iha country. Every one of them was equipped with the best warhorses, weapons, armors, and shields. Furthermore, they were personally trained by Long Qianlin. Qin Yi couldn't help but feel proud. On top of the steel wall, the officials looked into the distance. Qin Yi was wearing a dark green Iha Nation military uniform with a golden dragon robe draped over his shoulders. His face was full of joy as he looked at the drill below the city wall. He pointed at the cavalry formation below the city wall and said, Dear ministers, can this 100 Ridge cavalry defeat the demon race? Marshal Ji Yao of the Iha Nation said proudly, This 100,000 cavalry has gathered the strongest warriors of our Iha Nation, the best warhorses, and the best equipment. I believe it can fight against 50,000 armored demons. Commander Yi Xuanhuan of the Celestial Legion also cupped his fists and said with a smile, Commander, I'm afraid that only the Dragon's Courage Legion of Lanyan City can contend against the 100 Ridge cavalry. However, I'm afraid that Lin Muyu will soon be exhausted by the demon race's attack and won't have the chance to contend with the 100 Ridge Legion. Yes, has Qianfeng's messenger arrived yet? Not yet. Qin Yi narrowed his eyes and said, Remember, the demon race can't be easily trusted just like humans. No matter how nice Qianfeng's words are, the demon race won't give up on us. This 100 Ridge cavalry is prepared for the demon race. In addition, the arrow boxes and ballistae also need to be built. Since Qianfeng has decided to attack the Empire, the Iha Nation is not far from war. What do you think, Marshal Long? Long Qianlin stood quietly at the side until Qin Yi asked a question. Then he cupped his fists and said, On the demon race's side, we have the Qinling Mountains as a natural stronghold, so the demon race definitely won't be able to take down the Qinling Mountains in a short period of time. However, the 3 passes on the West Qinling Mountains have already been taken by the Empire. In comparison, the threat from the Empire is greater. They can cross the 3 passes at any time and sweep across the northern territory of our Iha country. I believe that the military strength of the Iha country is slightly weaker than that of the Empire and the demon race, so we should focus on defense and wait for an opportunity to strike. Why? Ji Yao couldn't help but smile. After several years of recuperation, the Yihe nation now has nearly 600,000 soldiers again. We can be said to have a strong army. Why can't we leave the sword pavilion and recover the lost land in the north? Long Qianlin frowned and said, to the north of the sword pavilion is the border of the empire's Cangnan province. There are many forces there. Once a war breaks out, the demon race and the empire's army will run amok there. The Yihe nation's military strength is the weakest. As long as the Yihe nation's army leaves the sword pavilion, both the demon race and the Yihe nation will attack the Yihe nation's army first. Is that so? Ji Yao laughed. How long has it been since the last time General Long mobilized his army? Nearly a year. No wonder. General Long has trained his army for a whole year. It seems that your spirit has been worn down. You're already afraid to fight before the war. How is this the Long Qianlin who surrounded Lanyan city? Ji Yao didn't hide the ridicule in his eyes. Long Qianlin was silent for a long time. Commander, do you also think that I'm afraid to fight? What are you talking about? General Long is well versed in military strategy and is the treasure of the Yihe nation. If even General Long is afraid to fight, who else in the Yihe nation can lead the army to war? Ha ha ha, if that's the case. Long Qianlin cupped his fists and said, I ask for your permission to let Long Qianlin lead the 300,000 soldiers of Hundred Ridge City to the sword pavilion. In this way, Long Qianlin can respond to the war at any time. This, Qin Yi was startled. He stroked his beard and said with a smile, the demon race hasn't officially launched an invasion. We're not in a hurry. General Long, the most important thing now is to train well. After all, there are still many new recruits among the 400,000 soldiers of Hundred Ridge City. Our combat strength is not enough. Yes. Long Qianlin bowed and cupped his fists. A trace of disappointment flashed across his face. Not long after, Qin Yi returned to the palace of the southern protector of the Hundred Ridge City after leading the officials to patrol the city. His golden dragon robe was fluttering behind him, but his figure looked a bit old. Ji Yao, Yi Xuanhuan, and Qin Huan followed him into the palace. There were only 4 of them in the palace, and all of them had an unusual look on their faces. Ji Yao knelt on the ground and cupped his fists. Commander, Long Qianlin has many contacts with the generals of the empire. I've intercepted the handwritten letters between him and Lin Muyu. He has repeatedly complained about the unfair treatment in the Yihe nation and often expressed his desire to return to the empire. Such a traitor. How can you continue to appoint him to lead the army? Qin Yi stood up and put his hand on the jade seal on the table. A beam of light shot out from his eyes. He said, those letters were forged by mediocre people. I can tell at a glance. General Ji, you don't need to be bewitched by people with ill intentions. You and Long Qianlin are both marshals of the Yihe nation. You should work together and help me destroy the empire and the demon race, right? But, Ji Yao wanted to say more but was stopped by Qin Yi's gaze. Qin Huan frowned and said, Father, those letters might be forged, but Long Qianlin's loyalty and filial piety are real. After killing Qin Jin in the Battle of Fairy Lake, Long Qianlin has always felt guilty towards Lin Muyu and Qin Yin. He is a benevolent general who is always decisive. Once he is bewitched by Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, Father, are you confident that Long Qianlin won't be swayed? Qin Yi was silent. At this time, Yi Xuanhuan smiled and said, the Sword Tower is the economic and strategic throat of the South Mountain Province. Once Long Qianlin takes 300,000 elite soldiers to the Sword Tower, it's tantamount to grabbing the lifeline of the Yihe nation. If Commander Long Qianlin goes to the Sword Tower, I'm afraid he will take the army and join the Northern Empire at any time. General Long, he won't. Qin Yi trembled. You really won't? Ji Yao said indifferently, when Marshal Lv Zhao ordered a massacre in Lanyan City, Long Qianlin strongly opposed it. Have you forgotten the look in Long Qianlin's eyes at that time? That was a murderous look. He was born in the South Mountain Province and has always thought of himself as a citizen of the empire. Perhaps, deep down in his heart, he has always thought that the Iha nation is a group of rebels. Qin Yi took a deep breath and his emotions gradually became chaotic. He said, "Then what do you think Long Qianlin should do? You should also know that Long Qianlin is a famous general. No one in the Iha nation can surpass him in military strategy. The three of you are far inferior to him. Do you want me to take the risk?" Qin Huan said, "Father, we are naturally not as experienced as Long Qianlin. However, we are all loyal to the empire, but Long Qianlin doesn't. In my opinion, why don't we dispatch Long Qianlin to the Swift White Province and give him 100,000 soldiers to guard Fiery Moon City? In this way, once the empire sends troops to the South Mountain, Long Qianlin will naturally be able to resist. As for the demon race, the three of us can lead the troops to resist." Fiery Moon City, Qin Yi took a deep breath and said, "I understand. Immediately take my personal order to see Long Qianlin and order him to lead 100,000 troops to garrison Fiery Moon City. He's allowed to recruit and train troops on his own, and all military equipment and rations will be provided by Sunset City. No one is allowed to slight Long Qianlin, otherwise, they'll be executed without mercy. That's all." "Yes." After Qin Huan and the other two left, Qin Yi felt exhausted and fell heavily on his chair. Long Qianlin was indeed talented in military affairs, but he was also envied by the Iha nation's generals. Even his own son's attitude toward Long Qianlin had changed greatly. However, Qin Yi knew that he could not give up on Long Qianlin. He was the Iha nation's last hope. Without Long Qianlin, perhaps South Mountain would have been flattened by Feng Jixing and Xianghu 2 years ago. Chapter 576. A few days later, it was another spring plowing festival. Every house in Lanyan City was decorated with lanterns and streamers. People always hoped that their prayers to the heavens would bring them good weather in the new year. However, they did not know that the weather was not controlled by the gods. It was caused by the movement of the planet, the changes in the earth, and the rise and fall of the temperature. However, all of this did not seem important. People still celebrated the spring plowing festival. It was more like a habit. Early in the morning, Lin Muyu led all the generals above the rank of captaincy in the Longdan army camp and slowly set off to Zhe Tian Palace to participate in the empire's spring plowing festival ceremony, just like in previous years. Zhe Tian Palace was bustling with activity. The officials congratulated and saluted each other as if it was the spring festival. Lin Muyu could not help but sigh inwardly. He remembered that he had also participated in the spring plowing festival 5 years ago. At that time, Qin Jin was still around. Now, the old officials had died one by one. The empire's commanders had also been replaced by the younger generation. The wheel of history did not care about anyone's unwillingness or unwillingness. It only rolled along with time, crushing all oaths and dreams. Not long after, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi walked up to the palace side by side. The officials knelt on one knee and saluted, shouting, "Long live." Before the ceremony began, the manager of the Heavenly Book Pavilion, Ji Lin, walked forward shakily and picked up a scroll to read. Recently, the Heavenly Book Pavilion has collected a total of 2 low-grade heavenly books, 23 earth books, 97 spiritual books, and 214 personal books. This is the detailed table of contents. Please have a look, Your Highness. After reading it, Qin Yin said happily, "Manager Ji Lin, thank you for your hard work." Then, this afternoon, the Minister of War, Feng Jixing, will personally lead the Imperial Guards to the Heavenly Book Pavilion to collect the books. All the Heavenly Book weapon embryos will be stored in the military warehouse and distributed to the major armies for use. Ji Lin bowed his head and said, "Thank you for your grace, Your Highness." The Heavenly Compendium Pavilion had been established for a long time, and it already had over 100 earth tomes in its collection. Handing all of them over to the Ministry of War made Feng Jixing feel like he had suddenly become a rich person. This was also the reason why Qin Yin appointed him as the Minister of War. Once Feng Jixing became the Minister of War, he would be able to control a huge amount of resources. At the very least, the Longdan army camp and the Imperial Army would not suffer any grievances when it came to the distribution of equipment and rations. Not only would he not suffer any grievances, but he would also be taken care of like a son. When the ceremony began, everyone gathered outside. Qin Yin was dressed in a deep purple robe with golden embroidery. Her hair swayed in the wind, and she was indescribably beautiful. She looked behind her and smiled. "Princess Shi, Commander Yu, follow me to lead the oxen and plow." Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu gladly walked forward. At this moment, the great deacon of the Divine Temple, Xianyuan Hong, held the imperial edict in his hand and walked on the high platform. He began to read the Empress's spring plowing festival dedication. His Saint Heaven Realm cultivation was contained in his voice, and it was very loud and clear. Even the crowd of commoners hundreds of meters away could hear him clearly. While Xianyuan Hong was reading the imperial edict, Lin Muyu hitched a plow to an ox and led the ox on a piece of land dug out by the imperial guards. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi each held a plow and followed Lin Muyu to open up the wasteland with smiles on their faces. In the distance, the commoners cheered loudly and knelt down in droves. The Qin family had been the hegemon of the continent for 10,000 years. Compared to the insurrection and the brutality of the nation, they were still considered kind to the people. This was also the reason why Qin Yin was so popular. Moreover, many people came because of the Empress's beauty. Looking from afar, the beautiful woman in her fluttering white robe was like a fairy that had descended to the world. How could they not be excited? Lin Muyu slowly led the oxen forward and said softly, "The demon clan has made a move." These days, there are constant reports from the Yushu, saying that the demon clan's armor demon army is constantly gathering in Winter Frost City. According to the speed of their troops, the demon clan will definitely attack the steel protective wall in Sangnan province within a month. Yes. Qin Yin nodded gently. There will be another war. Lin Muyu smiled. This time, let's fight for the victory. Oh. Brother Yu, do you have such confidence? Yes. Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and recalled the situation of the magic crystal cannons firing last night. Qin Xiling had mastered the collision explosion technique, and every cannon could basically make a sound. The only shortcoming was the range, which was at most 500 meters. It had to be very close to the target to have a miraculous effect, but this was also something that could not be helped. Due to the lack of technology, it could only be improved slowly. However, Lin Muyu had already ordered Qin Xiling to cast magic crystal cannons in batches. In the next war, the magic crystal cannons would have a miraculous effect. Qin Yin did not know what Lin Muyu was thinking. She just smiled and said, "I don't care. Anyway, I will personally supervise and lead the army in this war." Oh. Lin Muyu squinted her eyes and extended the spirit pulse technique to explore the flow of battle energy in Qin Yin's body. Unexpectedly, she found that she could not see through Qin Yin's cultivation. The power flowing in her body was not the pure king's fighting flame, but a mysterious power that was several times more tyrannical than the king's fighting flame, divine power. Could it be that Qin Yin had stepped into the godly state? That should not be the case. Breaking through and stepping into the godly state at the age of 25 was unprecedented. Even if Qin Yin was talented, she could not be this powerful. As if she could see that Lin Muyu was examining her, Qin Yin chuckled and said, "Don't look at me. I am only at the Holy King's state. However, I am confident that I have more than a 30% chance of winning against a divine lord. 30% is not enough. I don't care. Anyway, I don't agree with you leading the army in person." "Humph, I am going anyway." I don't care. Tang Xiaoxi, who was listening at the side, felt her scalp go numb. Good heavens, on such a holy ceremony, can you two stop being so willful? I don't care. Anyway, I am going to participate in the war. From afar, Feng Jixing crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi plowing the field. Suddenly, he sighed. Zhang Wei squinted his eyes and asked, "Commander, what's wrong?" Feng Jixing nodded. His eyes gleamed with wisdom and said, "I don't care. Anyway, I am going to the brothel to drink tonight. Once the war starts, I won't have such a chance anymore." Zhang Wei's body trembled. He did not know what to say at all. His whole body was in a mess. In the afternoon, Feng Jixing transported batches of Heavenly Book embryos from the Heavenly Book Pavilion. This made Lu Feng, Lu Ying, Ouyang Bao, and the others in the Heavenly Book Pavilion feel distressed. However, this was fate. The scholars who entered the Heavenly Book Pavilion were destined to be a tool to produce heavenly books. The meaning of their existence was to write more and more powerful heavenly books for the Empire in exchange for the glory of being conferred nobility. Feng Jixing saw a group of familiar figures before he entered the Minister of War's residence. It was Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, Situ Sen, and the others. They also brought along hundreds of cavalrymen from the Longdan army camp. "Io, this guy," Feng Jixing complained incessantly, "he has been waiting for me even before I entered the door. How can there be such a person?" Zhang Wei chuckled, "He has always been this kind of person." Lin Muyu had already spurred her horse forward. She smiled and said, "Big brother Feng, my good brother, I'm here to collect the Heavenly Book's embryo from the Brave Dragon Battalion. Do you think my 5 carriages are enough?" Feng Jixing's eyes widened. "There are only 5 carriages in total. You might as well take all of them and take my life away." "Io, you are treating me like an outsider. Then I will take 3 carriages. Don't give me that. Do you think you are transporting feces? 1 carriage at a time? I will give you 1 carriage at most." "That won't do. The Valiant Dragon Legion is the #1 legion bestowed by His Highness. If you want to send me away with 1 carriage, you will need at least 2. "Absolutely not. There are more than a dozen legions in the Empire waiting for the Heavenly Book embryos. If we give them all to you, what can we do? At most, we will give you 1.5 carriage. It's a deal. 1.5 carriage it is. I will suffer a loss." Lin Muyu dismounted and opened the door to the first carriage. She reached out and grabbed a dagger. She weighed it in her hand and saw that there were yellow divine characters on it. She smiled and said, "This mid-grade earthly book is not bad. I will accept it. Io, this high-grade earthly book is also of the highest grade. I will take it. And this top-grade earthly book, there are so many good things." Feng Jixing trembled with anger. These resources must be collected and registered. Do you think you can pick them as you please? Brat, put that top-grade earthly book down. I saw it first. Look at how stingy you are. How did you become the Minister of War? If you are so stingy, you should be an assistant minister in the Ministry of Revenue. Lin Muyu saw that most of the carriages were earthly books and spiritual books. There were no human books at all. They were all top-grade weapon embryos. Lin Muyu could not help but walk forward with a smile on her face. She grabbed the reins of the war horse and smiled at the soldier driving the horse. "Brother, come down." The soldier did not dare to say anything. "Yes, Commander Yu." "Io, what are you trying to do?" Feng Jixing's eyes were wide open. Lin Muyu flipped over and sat on the carriage. Her smile was very bright. "What else can I do?" "Brother Feng, you said that you will give me 1.5 carriage of heavenly books. I will take all of them, dream on." "No, get down. Stingy. Stingy." I think you shouldn't be called Feng Jixing in the future. Just call yourself Feng Stingy. We're brothers. Don't tell me that this cart of military supplies isn't worth it. Move aside, I'm driving the horse away. Don't get hit by it, I can't afford it. Brat, don't go. Feng Jixing still wanted to say something, but Lin Muyu had already galloped away on her horse. In a flash, she disappeared from the Ministry of War's Minister of War's residence. How was this collecting resources? This was no different from robbery. Feng Jixing was so angry that he gritted his teeth. My heavenly books. Brat, I am so angry. At this moment, Situ Shui walked forward with a beautiful smile. General Feng, there are still half a carriage of resources in the Longdan army camp. Do you want me to pick them myself? No, absolutely not. The embryonic heavenly books in this carriage are not bad. Come, come, come. Let's unload half of them and drive the carriage away. The Ministry of War is overflowing with wealth. We don't need this carriage. Situ-san was already busy. Not long after, half a carriage of embryonic heavenly books was taken away. Feng Jixing stood there desolately. He felt very sad. It was as if the Ministry of War had encountered a group of robbers. Luo Yu coughed. Commander, what do we do now? Do we still need to register? Register what? Feng Jixing gritted his teeth and said, choose half of the remaining 3.5 carts of earth tomes and spiritual tomes for the Imperial Guards to use. Distribute the rest to the various armies. Also, leave all the low-grade heavenly tomes for the Imperial Guards. Commander, the inferior-grade heavenly books have been taken away by Commander Yu. Where are we going to find more? Ah, Feng Jixing howled. He did not even have the mood to drink wine. Chapter 577. 18 days later, on the 18th of January, year 7736 of the imperial calendar, the demons finally sent their troops. The rumor had already spread in the human territory. Everyone was in a state of panic. The demons were like a nightmare that haunted everyone's mind. Anyone who had witnessed the demons' slaughter was trembling with fear. Moreover, according to the military reports and rumors, the demons' vanguard was aiming at the steel wall of the Daojiang tributary of the empire. They were determined to conquer it. Early in the morning, rays of sunlight fell on the gilded carpet in the main hall of the Zetian Palace. The officials stood in great numbers, their faces full of fear and uneasiness. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi entered the hall one after another. After sitting down gracefully, Qin Yin said, "It's just the beginning of spring, and the demons are invading in large numbers. Someone, tell us the military report in detail." Yes. An assistant minister of the Ministry of War reported, 3 days ago, the demons' army set out from the Winter Frost City in the Lingdong province. The Qianfeng Corps has 140,000 soldiers, including 100,000 armor demons, 30,000 winged people, and nearly 10,000 advanced demons. The Thunder Rush Corps has 210,000 soldiers, including 170,000 armor demons, 40,000 winged people, and more than 10,000 horseshoe people in the Daojiang River. The demons have 150,000 human soldiers in the human territory of the Lingdong province. They have a total of 510,000 menacing soldiers. Qin Yin couldn't help but gasp. She had only heard the rough information about the demons' military strength. Now she knew that the demons actually had so many troops. Xiang Yu frowned and didn't say anything. Su Muyun cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, there's no need to be afraid. Since the Empire and the demons have already fought at the steel wall, there's no need to be afraid. The demons are also made of flesh and blood. There's nothing to be afraid of." In the crowd, a deputy general said, "It's just that, the Thunder Rush Corps has 170,000 armor demons." 170,000. Even 500,000 cavalrymen may not be a match for this army. Feng Jixing frowned and didn't say anything. At this time, an old official with a walking stick stepped out of the ranks. He was Count Qingyun, an old noble who controlled more than one-third of the ore transactions in Lanyan City. Count Qingyun held the jade tablet in one hand and said, "Your Highness, the demons are coming with a fierce momentum, but they aren't necessarily coming for the Empire. Don't forget that our mortal enemy is the Iha kingdom of Lingnan. In this old subject's opinion, it would be better to send an emissary to the demon camp before the war begins and make some promises to negotiate peace with the demons. We can sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight. When the demons and the Iha kingdom are mutually wounded, we can wait for an opportunity to strike. This is the best strategy." Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. Does Count Qingyun think it's possible for us to negotiate with the demons? Count Qingyun, if I may be so bold as to ask, have you ever seen the scene of a demon killing? I didn't. The demons are ferocious, and countless civilians have died to their claws and butcher knives. Moreover, we are nothing but food in their eyes. Do you think the demons will negotiate with food? With that, Lin Muyu said indifferently, if we negotiate, it'll be showing weakness to the demons. They won't hesitate to attack the Empire first, so there's no need to talk about peace. The Blue Cloud Count was startled and said, "Commander Yu, as a soldier of the army, surely you don't understand these political tactics. Even if the demon race treats us as food, what does it matter if they don't have absolute certainty of victory?" Feng Jixing laughed from the side. "Very well, I also agree with the negotiation. Then why don't you send Count Qingyun to the demon camp as the Empire's emissary? Also, this general will give you a word of advice. Why don't you take a bath in honey water before you go? Armor demons like sweet food, not greasy or spicy food." Count Qingyun was livid with anger. He took several steps back and didn't say anything else. At this time, Tang Lan took a step forward. "I think your Highness has already made up your mind on whether to fight or negotiate." Qin Yin's lips curled up. Her voice was very calm. "Fight. Our Qin clan isn't used to kneeling. Even if we lose, we won't beg for a moment of peace from the demons." With that, Qin Yin looked straight at Tang Lan. "Duke Lan, oh no, Seven Seas King, I have something I don't understand and want to ask Seven Seas King." Tang Lan's body trembled. "Your Highness. Your Highness can ask anything. Since the beginning of this month, there hasn't been a single letter from the Seven Seas province to the capital. Apart from that, there hasn't been any news from the Seven Seas province and the Divine Temple. It's as if the Seven Seas province has disappeared from the map of the Empire. May I ask the Seven Seas King, I think you know best what happened to the Seven Seas province?" Qin Yin's gaze was like a knife, causing Tang Lan to feel a prick on his back. "This old subject also doesn't know, but this old subject will immediately send my servants to the Seven Seas province to mobilize troops to fight the demons." "That's good." Qin Yin said indifferently, "How about this? Xiaoxi is a descendant of the Tang clan and also the bloodline of the Seven Seas King. I will send Xiaoxi to lead the national army to the Seven Seas Pass to take over the troops of the Seven Seas province. All troops of the Seven Seas province must immediately hand over the sword seal to Xiaoxi after leaving the Seven Seas Pass and listen to Xiaoxi's orders. In this battle, Xiaoxi will command all the troops of the Seven Seas city. What do you think, Duke Lan?" Tang Lan trembled slightly. "Yes, this old subject obeys." Qin Yin nodded happily and stood up. She looked at the officials and said, "Then let's start the battle. Luo Yu, listen up. This general is here. Leave 30,000 Imperial Guards under your command to defend the capital." "Yes." Qin Yin continued, "Feng Jixing, listen up. This general is here. You will lead the remaining 30,000 Imperial Guards to fight with me." "Yes." Qin Yin took a deep breath and said, "Receive my orders." King of Yunzhong Su Muyun, General Su Yu, 300,000 men and horses in Qi Yunzhong province, Marquis of Yunling Lin Muyu will be reinstated. He will command all the troops in the valiant Dragon Corps and follow me into battle. Yes. Lin Muyu, Su Muyun, and Su Yu stepped forward and knelt on one knee to listen to the order. Qin Yin then looked at the people of the Tang clan and said, 7C King, you still have close to 200,000 troops in Earthstar Province and Northridge Province. Gather the troops with Xiangyu, the Marquis of Pingnan, and follow me to the steel protective wall to fight the demons. Yes. Tang Lan, Xiangyu, Tang Shi, and the others knelt down. All generals, prepare the provisions and equipment. We will set off in 3 days. Yes. The Empress had issued an imperial edict, and the war was on the verge of breaking out. The entire Lanyan city was naturally shrouded in a gloomy cloud. Other than those generals, there was probably no one in this world who liked war. Late at night, the camp of the Dragon Courage Legion was still bustling with activity. The 3 armies had yet to move, but the provisions and fodder had to go first. Fengshi was already gathering the provisions and sending them out to the Longdan army camp. This time, the Empire had mobilized nearly 1 million troops to fight the demons. They couldn't lose, they had to win. In the commander's tent, the fragrance of tea filled the air. Chu Yao frowned as she brewed tea. In front of her, Lin Muyu sat majestically, and beside her was Qin Yin, who was dressed casually. Does Xiao Yin also suspect Tang Lan? Lin Muyu finally asked. How can I not be suspicious? Qin Yin sighed faintly. Tang Lan has always been disloyal, and the troops of Qihai City have always been unable to be used by us. Now, Tang Lan has even cut off the correspondence between Qihai City and Lanyan City. Her intentions are clear, so I can only order Xiao Shi to take over the troops of Qihai City. As long as Xiao Shi controls the hundreds of thousands of troops of Qihai City, I believe the overall situation will be set. Xiao Yin seems to be very confident that we can defeat the demons this time. Chu Yao asked with a smile. Qin Yin also smiled, but her smile was full of bitterness. She said, the land left by my father was originally extremely rich, but in recent years, there have been continuous wars, and people have no way to live. This time, with the troops of Qihai City, we have used nearly 1 million troops to fight against the demons, which has already affected the foundation of the empire. If we don't win, the national strength of the Qin Empire will be greatly damaged, and we will no longer have the strength to fight against the demons. Lin Muyu reached out to take the tea handed over by Chu Yao, put it to her nose and sniffed it. She said, in order to prepare for the war, all places are collecting and buying grain. Many people have even taken out the grain for winter. If we lose this war, indeed, I don't know how many people will starve to death, and the national treasury is a bit empty. For us, the best result is to defeat the demons and recover Lingnan. With the resources of Lingnan, maybe we can still deal with the demons. This war is a battle of life and death for us. Chu Yao said faintly, I don't know military strategy, but I believe you can do it. Well, the night was dark, but it was unknown how many people could not sleep peacefully this night. The starlight sprinkled in the courtyard, and the sound of crutches hitting the stone floor echoed softly. Tang Lan stood under the begonia tree in the backyard of the mansion with a pale face, looking at the begonia tree that had not bloomed yet, and suddenly sighed. Grandpa, what's wrong? Tang Xiaoxi asked softly. It's Xiao Shi. It was rare for Tang Xiaoxi to return to the Qihai Palace to spend the night. Tang Lan's face was a little more gratified, and she said, I don't know. I don't know if Grandpa can see this year's begonia blooming. Tang Xiaoxi stared blankly for a moment before replying, of course I can see what Grandpa is saying. Don't forget that the Empire has many powerful generals. Although the demons are strong, we aren't weak either. We won't lose this war. Even if we win this war, our Tang family will lose. Tang Lan sighed and said, can't Xiaoxi see that the Empress completely doesn't trust me? Tang Xiaoxi held Tang Lan's arm and said, Xiaoxi is not stupid. Naturally, she can see it, but, doesn't Xiao Yin trust me very much? As long as I lead the 300,000 soldiers of the Qihai province to defeat the demons, I will definitely be able to win back Xiao Yin's trust in the Tang family. What do you think, Grandpa? Perhaps. Tang Lan smiled slightly. Will Grandpa follow Xiao Yin to fight the demons? Yes. Tang Lan raised his head and looked at the begonia tree swaying in the breeze, and said, decades ago, before Her Highness Yin was born, I followed the former emperor to conquer the south and the north. Now, it seems that I have returned to that time. Ah, perhaps this is the ending that the old General Tang Lan deserves? Chapter 578. Tuck, 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 in the sound of hooves, a man in a white robe galloped straight into the depths of the Longdan army camp. Feng Jixing dismounted and walked into the commander's tent with the horsewhip in his hand. He looked up and saw Lin Muyu and Chu Yao eating. It was the day before the departure, but they still had an appetite. Brother Feng, you're here. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Someone, add another set of chopsticks. No need. Feng Jixing sat down and said, I'm not here to eat. I'm here to collect a debt. Collect a debt? Chu Yao laughed. What does you owe Brother Feng? A promise. Feng Jixing squinted his eyes and smiled. You promised me that he would give some to the Imperial Guards after the research of the magic crystal cannon is completed. Now I'm here for the magic crystal cannon. Magic crystal cannon. Chu Yao murmured. She didn't know what it was, but she was smart and knew not to ask what she shouldn't ask, so she ate the rice silently. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, Don't worry, don't worry. Even if I gave it to you now, you wouldn't be able to transport it. A magic crystal cannon weighs more than 10,000 jin. A normal carriage would be crushed by the weight. Even if you dismantle it, it would require a lot of manpower to transport it. Boy, what are you going to do? Brother Feng, you'll know when we go for a walk after dinner. Well, okay. After dinner, the two galloped out of the city and went straight to the forest in the south of the city. About an hour later, the sound of water came from the forest. Feng Jixing was the commander of the Imperial Guards, so he naturally knew the terrain around Lanyan City. The sound of water came from a river closest to Lanyan City, named Water Lin River. It was said that there used to be a water Kailan bathing in the Water Lin River. It was a legend of thousands of years. No one knew whether it was true or not, but the water of the Water Lin River was very deep and connected to the main basin of the Rice River. It was constantly diverted to irrigate the farmland and became wider and wider. Water Lin River? Feng Jixing frowned. That's right. Lin Muyu raised her horsewhip and pointed to the front. I have ordered the logistics troops in the Longdan army camp to dismantle the magic crystal cannons and transport them to the riverside. Then, we will dispatch the Navy's warships to transport them. A Navy warship can transport about 3 to 5 magic crystal cannons. The draft is very deep. Adding the weight of the Navy, a warship can transport 3 magic crystal cannons. As expected, after the two of them passed through a bush, they saw a group of soldiers from the Longdan army camp moving the parts of the magical crystal cannon onto the warships. There were dozens of warships docked by the river, and the area within a few miles had been cordoned off. Greetings, Commander. A 1,000-man commander stepped forward and bowed respectfully. How's the shipping progress? Lin Muyu asked. More than half of the goods have been loaded. Please rest assured, Lord Commander. That's good. Lin Muyu looked at the ripples on the Water Lin River complacently. No one knew how long this war would last, but the Empire wouldn't be so passive this time. Feng Jixing was also a little excited and smiled. Good lad, how many magic crystal cannons do you have now? I've sold all my belongings and sold everything I have. Lin Muyu's face revealed a pained expression as she said, in addition to the limited time, I only managed to forge 50 magic crystal cannons. 50? Feng Jixing raised his gaze. I want 20. You're asking for too much. 10 at most. These are my life. No, 15 is at least. Otherwise, what's the use? You have to provide me with cannoneers to load the cannons. Otherwise, the Imperial Guards won't know how to use them, and there'll be a pile of scrap metal. Alright, 15 it is. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. These magic crystal cannons will go through the waterway and reach Daojiang. But Brother Feng, don't use them unless it's absolutely necessary. These cannons are quite powerful, but they have very few cannons. I've almost plundered all the magic crystals in Lanyan City. One cannonball is one less. Alright. Feng Jixing said, then how many cannons will you give me? 10 for each cannon. Isn't that too little? Don't think it's too little. It's basically the same. Lin Muyu smiled awkwardly, the technology isn't mature yet. After firing a shell, the barrel of the magic crystal cannons will burn red and need 2 minutes to reload and 5 minutes to fire. Otherwise, the barrel will easily explode. Therefore, the magic crystal cannons can only be used as a deterrent for now. I'm afraid it will be very difficult to rely on the magic crystal cannons to destroy the main demon force. Alright, I understand. Feng Jixing walked forward and reached out to caress the body of one of the cannons. His face was full of infatuation. He couldn't help but caress it again and again. Perhaps even the girls in the brothel didn't receive such good treatment here. He couldn't help but smile fondly. What a treasure. In a situation where the Empire is only equipped with arrow boxes and ballistae, we actually have such a powerful cannon with such a long range. It's not easy at all. This isn't a cannon. Lin Muyu corrected. The power of law produced by the explosion of the magic crystals isn't fire, but lightning. The explosion caused by high-temperature lightning isn't something ordinary armor can defend against. I'm afraid the demons don't know the secret of the magic crystals. Ha ha ha, Feng Jixing patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. It's great that the Empire has you. If you really died 4 years ago, I really don't know how we'll fight this war today. Don't worry, someone will fight. Yes, but who will it be? An unscrupulous villain like Xiangyu, a boorish man like Su Long who knows nothing about military strategy, or a scheming general of the Tang family? Feng Jixing looked at him deeply. There are only a few generals that the Empire can use. This is the biggest reason why His Highness values me and you. Don't say it so sadly. We'll set off tomorrow. Brother Feng, have you thought about how to fight this war? I don't know. Feng Jixing shook his head. The demon army is too strong. The armor demons are so brave and good at fighting, but their number is close to 300,000. As for us, although the Empire claims to have millions of soldiers, you and I both know that more than 60% of them are new recruits. They haven't even seen the demons before. Once they see the armor demons and winged people, I can only pray that they don't wet their pants. Ha ha ha, holding the sword hilt, Lin Muyu burst into laughter. Looking at the surging river, she said, moreover, Yunzhong Province and Earthstar Province are recruiting soldiers on a large scale, but they don't have enough equipment. I've seen some corps in Earthstar Province a few days ago. The soldiers only wear military uniforms without any armor. Most of their weapons are spears. Only the spear heads are made of steel while the spear bodies are made of wood. Although the wood is very hard, I'm afraid it's useless in front of the thick weapons of the armor demons. I can't imagine what it's like for Duke Lan and Duke Yun's men to fight the demons with a pile of junk. Yes, Feng Jixing sighed and said, these new soldiers are the lives of the Empire, but, for the sake of Duke Lan and Duke Yun's army expansion, these young people may die worthlessly under the blades of the demons. Ayu, Tang Lan has blocked the communication between the Seven Seas province and Lanyan City. The imperial capital has no idea about the deployment of all the troops in the Seven Seas province. I think Master Lan may have some plans. You mean, Duke Lan will attack Lanyan City when we're fighting with the demons in Sangnan province? Yes. Feng Jixing looked at the lofty outline of Lanyan City in the distance with profound eyes. Lanyan City is the capital, the richest city in the world. It's the location of the 3 ministries and 6 ministries of the empire. Once Lanyan City is controlled by Tang Lan, I'm afraid that Her Highness Qin Yin won't be able to return to Lanyan City. Once the supply of the capital to the front line is cut off, we're bound to collapse. I'm afraid that it will cause trouble. Lin Muyu smiled. Hasn't Xiao Yin ordered Duke Lan and Xiang Yu to lead the troops to accompany her? It's okay. Besides, Xiao Shi has already gone to Qihai Pass to receive the troops of the Tang family. Xiao Shi has the Iron Order of the Tang sect. She's not afraid that the Tang family won't obey her. Well, we can only hope that the situation will develop in a good direction. Let's go. Tonight, we have to respond to each other and cheer up the senior generals. Otherwise, they've been frightened by the 500,000 troops of the demon clan. Yes. Soon, night fell, and a bright moon hung high in the sky. The crescent moon caused many scholars and poets to recite poems that had been passed down through the ages. However, at this moment, the crescent moon hung over Lanyan City like a blood-red sickle. Once it fell, the people of the 3 realms would definitely perish. On the high platform of the valiant dragon army, Lin Muyu stood majestically with the star's sword in his hand. His cloak fluttered in the wind, and the 3-star general insignia on his shoulder glowed with golden light under the moonlight. He looked at the people below the platform. Almost all the middle and senior generals of the Longdan army camp were gathered here. Nearly 100 people were fighting in a mighty manner. Everyone stared at Lin Muyu. They were all boorish people, but they knew that their commander had something to say. They were all waiting to see what kind of shocking words Lin Muyu, who had once served as the great deacon of the Holy Temple, would say. Ahem. Lin Muyu cleared his throat and asked, "Brothers, you and I are all soldiers of the Empire. Now that the 500,000 troops of the demon clan have invaded our territory, they are far stronger than us. I only have one question for you. Are you afraid?" Yes. Everyone shouted at the top of their lungs. It's useless to be afraid. Lin Muyu raised his sword and said, "It's our destiny to spill blood on the battlefield. Only through this battle can we protect our home. I, Lin Muyu, can't guarantee that you can come back alive to see the bright moon of Lanyan City again. But I promise that even if we die in battle, our valiant dragon army will only die in glory, and not drag out an ignoble existence. I can't promise that we can lead you to victory, but I promise that we will do our best and live up to the honor of the soldiers of the Empire. Everyone, turn around and go to sleep. We will set off tomorrow morning." Yes. Chapter 579. That night, countless people couldn't sleep, and countless people were crying because they were about to leave their families. Qianfeng had gathered an army of 500,000, and with an unprecedented military strength, no one could escape from this war. In the commander's tent of the valiant dragon army, the lights were flickering. Lin Muyu didn't sleep for the entire night. This night was very important to him. He finally made a big decision, to engrave the star's sword. That's right, as he became more proficient in the engraving technique, Lin Muyu had enough confidence to guarantee the success rate of engraving. Furthermore, the star's sword was a lesser god weapon, an excellent tool embryo. When the rooster crowed, Lin Muyu slowly put down the carving knife. One side of the star's sword was glowing with the luster of a profound formation. It wasn't easy to engrave a seal on a narrow sword body, but Lin Muyu had already done it. The blood-red seal at the bottom was the level 5 Dragon Slayer seal, which provided a certain amount of dragon's might to the stars. On top of the Dragon Slayer seal, there was an overlapping seal, which was the more complicated level 6 Imperial God seal. It could resist the pressure of experts, and could increase the pressure of one's own domain to a certain extent. Lastly, above the 2 seal arrays was the even more complicated level 7 seal array, the God-slaying seal. Even Lin Muyu was amazed by the 3 seal arrays that were engraved in one go. The star sword that was engraved with the God-slaying seal was already glowing with a faint golden radiance. It would greatly increase Lin Muyu's resistance against the godly power and also the power of the godly power that Lin Muyu could unleash. This might not be of much use to ordinary people, but with the dense Fushi godly power that Lin Muyu possessed, it would be of great use to her. However, the star's sword was really too precious, so Lin Muyu left the other side of the sword blank, and didn't write the heavenly book. After all, his current understanding of the heavenly book had not reached the peak, and it would be terrible if he messed it up. Moreover, he had to at least have enough confidence to write a heavenly book above the heavenly book level before he could write a book for the star's sword. Dong dong, Wei Chao's voice came from outside. Commander, it's time to set off. His Highness has already prepared a farewell banquet for the 3 armies outside the north gate of Yanlan City. Shall we go and have a drink? I'm going. Lin Muyu did not care about her exhaustion. She sheathed her stellar sword and walked out of the tent. Is everyone ready? Ready. Under the morning light, Wei Chou was dressed in the bright armor of a high-ranking general, looking extremely handsome. That's good. Let's go. Yes. The 20,000 soldiers of the Longdan army camp who were stationed in the city slowly left the city. When Lin Muyu and the others arrived outside the city, they saw tables placed on the roadside, and the tables were filled with big bowls. The maids of Zhe Tian Palace were busy pouring wine, and the soldiers who passed by each went forward to drink a bowl of wine. They cherished such an opportunity very much. Who knew when would be the next time they could drink the good wine of Yanlan City? On the hillside, Qin Yin was wearing exquisite soft armor and a white cloak. She watched the army leave Yanlan City, surrounded by Qin Yan and the other imperial guards. Not far away, Feng Jixing was shouting for the imperial guards not to crowd and to leave the city in order. Lin Muyu galloped with Wei Chou and Situ Senator when they arrived at the foot of the hillside. She cupped her fists and said, "Xiao Yin." Qin Yin smiled happily. You're here. Is the valiant Dragon Legion ready? Yes, they will all leave the city soon. Are we going to directly enter the steel wall this time? Yes, but there are too many soldiers, so most of the army has to camp in the Unicorn Forest. We'll make a decision according to the situation and the distribution of the troops of the devil race. Yes. At this moment, another group of people rushed out of the city. They were the people from the Cloud King's mansion. The Cloud King, Su Muyun, was clad in golden armor. He held a saber in his hand and urged his horse forward. Su Muyun was also an old general. Although his cultivation wasn't too high, he could still be considered brave. This time, his body condition was much better than before. Was he planning to personally go into battle? Behind Su Muyun, Su Yu, Su Long, Luo Xian, and the other generals of the Su clan came out in a line, especially Luo Xian, who was wearing a silver armor and holding a thick iron spear. The serious injury caused by Lin Muyu had long recovered. Old subject Su Muyun greets your highness. Grandfather, you may rise. Qin Yin smiled warmly. She dismounted and held Su Muyun's arm. She smiled and said, Grandfather is almost 70 years old, but you still wear armor and go into battle. Xiao Yin is unfilial and made grandfather suffer. Don't mention it, your highness. Su Muyun said, as people of the great Qin army, we naturally have to charge and break through the enemy lines for the empire. The Su clan's army of nearly 300,000 soldiers in the Cloud Province and North Ridge Province is waiting for your highness's command. Good, good. Qin Yi nodded and smiled. Get on the horse. Let's prepare to set off. Riding a horse is faster, so we can reach Five Valleys City earlier. Grandfather can rest in Five Valleys City for a few days before following the army. Yes, thank you for your understanding, Your Highness. Under Lin Muyu's gaze, Situ Sun, Wei Chou, Situ Shui, Fengshi, and the other generals of the Longdan army camp went to follow the army, while Lin Muyu brought Bai Yin to protect Qin Yin. After all, Qin Yin's identity was too special. She was the dignified empress of the Qin Empire, and as long as Qin Yin died, the Qin Empire would definitely fall apart. Even with Xianyuan Hong, the Grand Deacon of the Divine Sanctum, protecting her, Lin Muyu still felt a little worried. Chu Chu had gone out to cultivate for a long time and had not returned for a long time. She did not know if he knew that the Empire was at war again. If he knew, he would probably come, right? Qin Han did not go with the army as he was still in seclusion, so Qin Yin did not disturb him. When Qin Han's cultivation had improved greatly, he might come to the front of the army. With such a divine lord with two martial souls at the helm, the empire would have a better chance of winning. Outside Lanyan City, the army was crowded on the official road, so many troops were traveling cross-country. The mountains and plains were full of people, banners fluttering, people shouting, and horses neighing. The momentum was extraordinary. 3 days later, the cavalry arrived at Five Valleys City. This rich city was located between a field and a lake. Governor Su Jiantao led a cavalry out of the city to welcome them. From afar, he ordered the soldiers to stand on both sides of the road. He rode to the side of the road, dismounted, and knelt on one knee. He said respectfully, Governor of Five Valleys City, Su Jiantao, greets Your Highness. Long live Your Highness. General Su, please get up. Let's enter the city. Yes. Under the protection of Xianyuan Hong and Feng Jixing, Qin Yin was the first to enter the city. Lin Muyu was in the second row, together with Su Muyun, Tang Lan, Xiang Yu, and the others. After a few years of recuperation, the death aura of Five Valleys City had dissipated. However, the ruins of the city could still be seen. The city walls were still faintly burned and broken. Five Valleys City was originally a rich city that provided military provisions and Jinin coins. However, after the demon race conquered Lingdong province, Five Valleys City became the first large city to resist the demon race. Luo Xian looked around and said, I heard that Five Valleys City experienced a war a few years ago and became a dead city. Now, it seems to be so full of life. The rumors are really not credible. Lin Muyu smiled. Whether the rumors are credible or not, young general can ask Marquis Pingnan. Xiang Yu glared at Lin Muyu and said, since ancient times, there is a saying that kindness does not command troops and righteousness does not command wealth. Back then, Xiang Yu received the order in the face of danger. If he didn't use vicious tactics, I'm afraid the Yihe kingdom would have entrenched themselves in Five Valleys City. The empire would not have the world it has today. Is that so? Lin Muyu smiled coldly. Although she was full of disgust for Xiang Yu, what he said was true. If he didn't use vicious tactics, the Yihe kingdom would not have retreated so easily. It was hard to say whether the empire would have the situation it has today. At this time, Tang Lan stroked his beard and said with a smile, Commander Yu is right. It's a pity, although Commander Yu is a genius, he had already disappeared at that time. Only Marquis Pingnan, Xiang Yu, led the troops. If Commander Yu was here, I'm afraid more than 1 million people would not have died, right? He was clearly mocking Lin Muyu. However, Lin Muyu did not say anything. She only snorted and entered the city with Bai Yin. At night, a military report arrived. There was a new movement of the demon army. All of them had gathered at the edge of the Lingdong province and had been biding their time for 2 days. Under the dim candlelight, a group of people surrounded the military sand table in Five Valleys City. All of them were silent. Feng Jixing picked up a small green flag and stuck it on the side of a city to the south of the Qinling Mountains. He said, according to the latest news, the Yihe Kingdom's General Long Qianlin has led nearly 200,000 troops here. Fiery Moon City, a city that you has been to before. Fiery Moon City? Lin Muyu frowned. When I brought the Longdan army camp through Fiery Moon City, it was still in ruins. Are there any 100 Mountains cavalry among these 200,000 troops? No. Feng Jixing shook his head and said, among them, there are 100,000 infantrymen from 100 Mountain City, and the other 100,000 are new recruits. Moreover, Long Qianlin has been recruiting and training troops in Fiery Moon City, forming a triangle with Sunset City and 100 Mountain City to confront the Empire's 3 passes in the Qinling Mountains. New recruits? Qin Yin was slightly startled. Her eyes were as clear as water as she looked at the map on the sand table. Could it be that Qin Yi has decided to give up on Long Qianlin? Who is in charge of the 100 Mountain City's main force, the 100 Mountains Cavalry? It is said that Ji Yao and Yi Xuanhuan are in charge together. Is that so? Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. Ji Yao is an idiot, yet he dares to command an army. Qin Yi is really muddle-headed, to actually hand over his trump-card army to Ji Yao. Xiang Yu stood up and walked to the side of the sand table. From the Yihe Kingdom's deployment, they don't seem to have any defenses against the demon race. Instead, they are eyeing the Empire's Earth Star province covetously. It seems that the Yihe Kingdom has most likely reached some kind of agreement with the demon race. Once we fight the demon race head-on, the Yihe Kingdom will definitely take advantage of the situation to launch a sneak attack on the 3 passes and then head north to swallow up a large portion of our Earth Star province. How many soldiers are there in the Earth Star province? Lin Muyu asked. Less than 50,000. Tang Lan, who had been resting with her eyes closed, opened her eyes and said indifferently. Su Muyun muttered to himself, Your Highness, we must send a general with both civil and military skills to guard the 3 passes. Otherwise, if the 3 passes are lost, the Empire will fall into a passive position. Who should we send? Chapter 580. Tang Lan stood up and coughed violently. Tang Wei hurriedly supported him and said, Grandpa, are you all right? You're not feeling well. Why don't you go back and rest first? No. Tang Lan slowly pushed Tang Wei's hand away. His originally turbid eyes shone brightly as he said, Yihe Nation's total military strength is around 900,000. From their current military deployment, we can see that they have 400,000 troops in Lingnan Province and nearly 500,000 in Swift White Province. Among them, Long Qianlin commands 200,000 and Ding Shi commands 300,000. There are only 2 people in Yihe Nation that we fear. One is Long Qianlin and the other is Ding Shi. Both of them are famous generals with strategic minds. Now that both of them have appeared in Swift White Province, the general we send must also be a famous general with good strategies. Otherwise, we will definitely lose. Qin Yin smiled faintly and said, Then, according to your Highness Seven Seas King, who is the most suitable to go? Tang Lan said, Among the famous generals of the Empire, Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and Xiang Yu are the most proficient in the art of war. Commander Yu repeatedly comes up with unexpected strategies. General Feng is calm and steady, and Marquis Pingnan Xiang Yu is a godlike commander with outstanding courage. All 3 of them are suitable candidates. However, in terms of experience, Commander Yu has fought with Ding Shi and Long Qianlin many times and knows them very well. Therefore, this old official believes that Commander Yu is the most suitable candidate to defend the 3 passes. No, I refuse, Lin Muyu said indifferently. Why? Tang Lan was stunned. Lin Muyu's palm pressed lightly on the edge of the sand table and looked straight at Tang Lan. First, Ding Shi and Long Qianlin may not attack the empire. After all, the demons are watching covetously. Iha nation may not be able to reach any agreement with the demons. Second, as the Seven Seas King said, I have fought with Long Qianlin many times and understand his art of war. However, I have also fought with the demons Qianfeng many times and understand Qianfeng's military strategy. Therefore, I want to stay in Five Valleys City and fight with the demons. Qin Yin said, if that's the case, Commander, you can stay by my side. I need him to help me strategize from time to time. Tang Lan was taken aback. Then, how should we deal with the possible war in Planet Earth province? Qin Yin smiled faintly. Why don't we do it this way? General Feng will command 30,000 Imperial Guards, and then we'll allocate 70,000 soldiers from the Earth Star Province's army to support General Feng. The remaining 100,000 soldiers will guard the Earth Star Province. With the 3 passes, it should be enough to defend against the enemy. Feng Jixing took a deep breath and said, Your Highness, most of the defending generals in the Earthstar province are from the Tang family. I am worried that my prestige is not enough to deter them. Su Muyun stroked his beard and smiled. If that's the case, then I'll ask the Seven Seas King, Tang Lan, to accompany General Feng to the Swift White Province. The Seven Seas King is the head of the Tang family. With a wave of his arm, he can command more than 10,000 people. Also, if General Feng is worried about not having enough soldiers, I'll have Suyu lead another 50,000 Qin dragon army and listen to General Feng's orders. How about that? Feng Jixing was taken aback. If that's the case, then that's even better. However, I don't know if Commander Suyu is willing to listen to my orders. After all, she is your Highness's concubine, and I, Feng Jixing, am only a bumpkin. What are you saying, General Feng? Suyu giggled. You are the head of the previous emperor's wind, rain, thunder, and lightning generals. As long as Her Highness Yin issues an imperial edict, Suyu will naturally obey General Feng's orders and serve the empire. Then let's do it this way. Qin Yin nodded. Receive my orders. Feng Jixing will lead 30,000 Imperial Guards to the Earthstar province immediately. Commander Suyu will lead 50,000 Qin Dragon Army as well. General Feng will be the commander-in-chief of the vanguard. The Seven Seas King, Tang Lan, will be the military governor. Remember, General Feng will make all the decisions on strategic matters. No one is allowed to interfere. Tang Lan and Suyu cupped their fists at the same time. As you command. Qin Yin's orders were extremely clever. In order not to damage Tang Lan's reputation, she made him the military governor, but also gave Feng Jixing the power to act alone. This way, Tang Lan could be sent away from Cangnan province without affecting Feng Jixing's affairs on the Western Front. At night, after dinner, Feng Jixing and Suyu were about to set off. Tang Lan was also hurriedly preparing the guards and so on. This time, most of the troops heading to the Earthstar province were Feng Jixing and Suyu's forces. Tang Lan only brought 2,000 guards. Furthermore, the Empress had issued an edict, and Tang Lan could only carry it out. She handed over the 100,000 soldiers of Qihai City to Jianghu. These 100,000 soldiers were the most experienced elite soldiers of Qihai City. Under the starlight, Lin Muyu and Wei Chou sent Feng Jixing and Suyu off Wugu City and out of the city. You, don't send me off. Amidst the messy sound of horse hooves, Suyu looked back and smiled. You stay here and take good care of Shao Yin. At the same time, help me take good care of my king father. Do you understand? Don't worry, Aunt Lan. Lin Muyu smiled cheerfully. You also have to be careful. If you can defend, don't come out of seclusion to fight. Ding Shi and Long Qianlin are not easy to deal with. Brother Feng, you must not underestimate the enemy. Feng Jixing couldn't help but laugh. Kid, you should think more about your own situation. The demons are coming in menacingly. This time, Qianfeng is almost certain to win. You must be careful. In addition, beware of Xiangyu. His last sentence was very meaningful. How could Lin Muyu not know? In that case, I won't send you off. Lin Muyu spurred her horse forward and raised her palm. Feng Jixing smiled knowingly. Both palms struck together. Lin Muyu said, "Good brother, you must come back alive." Feng Jixing nodded. You too. Watching Feng Jixing, Su Yu, and the others disappear into the night, Lin Muyu felt a sense of loss. Her elder brother, Feng Jixing, had always been protecting her. Now that Feng Jixing had left, it seemed that she could only rely on herself to defend the entire steel wall. There was a strong enemy like Qianfeng on the outside and a fierce general like Xiangyu on the inside. Moreover, Zheng Yifan was also there. The empire's god of war, Zheng Yifan, a famous general who was ranked among the Soaring Clouds Pavilion's meritorious officials, was a wolf. He was chased away from Lanyan City by Qin Jin. Now that he had returned, the wolf's return was either to repay a debt of gratitude or to take revenge. Now, Lin Muyu still couldn't tell whether Zheng Yifan had returned to repay a debt of gratitude or to take revenge. 3 days later, nearly 500,000 troops arrived at the steel wall. Lin Muyu led the 70,000 Dragon's Courage Legion to camp in the Unicorn Forest. Qin Yin's central tent was also set up within the Dragon's Courage Legion. The defense of the steel wall was handed over to the Marquis of Tranquil Sea, Yao Yuan, Su Long, Luo Xian, and the others. In the afternoon, the central tent was extremely gloomy. Everyone was silent. In the past 3 days, the demon army had already arrived at the east side of the steel wall, but they still didn't move. It was very puzzling. What are the demons thinking? Xiangyu asked with a frown. Who knows? Situ-san said coldly. Lin Muyu stared at the map in the middle and said, "It seems that Qianfeng doesn't plan to attack the steel wall. If he wanted to attack, he would have already advanced today. What is he thinking?" At this time, a messenger flew in and said respectfully, "Your Highness, the frontline military situation." "Speak." "Our scouts have found out that nearly 150,000 armor demons are slowly moving to the south of Cangnan province. They are currently crossing the river. In addition, we have seen many Wing tribe members circling in the sky to investigate our military situation. However, they are flying too high for our arrows to reach." "Understood. Continue to investigate." "Yes." Lin Muyu stood up and slowly moved her hand on the map. She suddenly pointed to the south of the river and asked, "Where is this place?" "It is not marked on the map." Su Jiantao cupped his fists and said, reporting to Commander, "This is a mountainous area. It is rugged and difficult to traverse. Even hunters rarely pass through here. Therefore, it is tacitly recognized as a hindrance on the map." "What if it is the armor demons?" Lin Muyu said, "With the strength of the armor demons, can they cross this mountain range?" "Yes." Xiangyu's eyes turned cold. "Commander Yu, are you suspecting that the demons will attack from the mountain range?" "Yes, the demons are different from us. They don't have too many supplies. As long as the armor demons attack with their blades and shields, they can form a strong fighting force. I suspect that they don't want to attack the steel wall at all. Instead, they want to go around the steel wall and fight us at the edge of the Unicorn Forest. If that's the case, the steel wall we spent 500 million gold coins on will be useless." With that, Lin Muyu pointed to a location on the map and asked, "What is this valley called?" "Canglin Valley." Su Jiantao said in a deep voice, "It's a valley full of white-leafed trees. The terrain of Canglin Valley is very complex and open. To the north of Canglin Valley is Daojiang, and to the south is Qinling Mountains. It's less than 20 miles away from the Sword Garret fortress guarded by the Yihe kingdom. If we choose to fight the demons in Canglin Valley, the cavalry of the Yihe kingdom in Sword Garret can arrive in an hour. Xiang Yu's face turned pale. It can't really beat Canglin Valley, right? That's right. Lin Muyu's fingers lightly stroked the map as she said, Your Highness, we must immediately send troops to Canglin Valley and guard the valley entrance. We cannot let the demons march straight in. Otherwise, if 300,000 demons were to attack the plains at the same time, even the gods would be unable to save us. Yes. Qin Yin said, send 300,000 soldiers to guard the Canglin Valley. Construct the strategic fortifications. Xiang Yu's army will lead the way, the Iron Blade army in the center, Su Long's army in the north, the Godly Might army in the south, and the Valiant Dragon army in the rear. Move out immediately. Yes. Inside the Qihai city camp, a group of people cursed after learning of the situation. What does Your Highness mean by having our Qihai city army in the center? Do you want us to be cannon fodder? Damn it, why is the Longdan army camp in the rear? Aren't they called the strongest army of the empire? Why is the strongest army in the empire in the back? We don't accept this. Your Highness is too biased towards Lin Muyu. This is unfair. Marquis Jun, how can you swallow your anger? Facing the indignant generals, Xiang Yu sneered, You are soldiers of the empire. Just follow orders. Plus, do you really think we are cannon fodder just because we are in the front? Just wait and see. Chapter 581. Rumble, the iron gate of the 7 custom gates slowly rose. After 5 days of bitter waiting, Tang Xiaoxi finally opened the gate. Outside the gate, nearly 20,000 soldiers of the National Guardian Army were waiting in formation. Tang Zhen raised his hand and said, Blade and shield formation, prepare to defend. Archers and arrow boxes, hold the line. No one is to panic. The sound of ropes twisting the arrow boxes could be heard. A battle was about to begin. Your Highness. The saintess of the demon race, Linghu Yan, dressed in a red dress, rode her horse to the side of Tang Xiaoxi and said respectfully, The warriors of the demon race are ready. As long as the 7 Seas City army inside the gate shows any disobedience, our Fox Clan Iron Cavalry will cooperate with the National Guardian Army to kill them. No matter how many of them come, they will all die. Sporadic snowflakes fell from the sky. Tang Xiaoxi's delicate face had a trace of worry and said, Don't act rashly. The people inside the gate are all soldiers of my Tang clan. Don't make a move unless it's absolutely necessary. Let me go and say my farewells first. Yes. Tang Zhen also cupped his fists from afar. At this moment, the sound of hooves could be heard from inside the fortress. A row of 7 Seas City cavalry carrying the Purple Flower Empire's war flag rushed out. The person at the front was wearing a golden armor and looked very familiar. It was Lu Zhong. His 2 sons were also wearing armor and followed closely behind him. Hundreds of cavalry came out in a line and in the blink of an eye, they lined up in front of Tang Xiaoxi. Shoot at the foot of the formation. Tang Zhen ordered loudly. Among the National Guardian Army, a divine archer drew his bow and shot a sharp arrow into the distance. Pa! The arrow hit the ground and the feathers trembled. Immediately, Lu Zhong's cavalry stopped moving forward. If they took another step forward, it would mean the start of a battle. This might not be a good thing for anyone. Lu Zhong spurred his horse forward and cupped his fists from afar. Subordinate Lu Zhong greets Fu Guojunju. With her amazing cultivation, Tang Xiaoxi was naturally not afraid of Lu Zhong. She led Tang Zhen and Linghu Yan to the front and said, Uncle Tianji, what has happened in the 7 Seas province? Why can't all the divine halls be contacted? Why hasn't there been a single reply from the Empress Palace? Is the Seven Seas province really going to change its banner? Princess Shi, you've misunderstood. Lu Zhong raised his arm and pointed at the purple flower emblem on his collar. Princess Shi, look. We're still soldiers of the Empire, and we definitely won't have any thoughts of betrayal. The reason why we haven't contacted Lanyan City is because the Seven Seas province has been snowing for an entire month. The snow has blocked all the roads, causing messenger birds to be unable to fly. I hope Princess Shi will understand. Oh, I see, Tang Xiaoxi sneered in her heart. The Seven Seas province wasn't like Cloud Province and Heaven's Pivot Province with undulating mountains. More than 70% of the land in the Seven Seas province was plains. This was also the biggest reason why the Seven Seas province was so rich. No matter how heavy the snow on the plains was, it was impossible for the roads to be blocked. At least, Tang Xiaoxi hadn't heard of such a thing in the past 20 years. However, she didn't expose him. She just smiled and said, Uncle Tianji, how many Tang clan troops are there in the north of the Seven Seas province? This. Lu Zhong hesitated. Why? Can't you tell me? Tang Xiaoxi raised her eyebrows and revealed a trace of displeasure. No, Princess Shi, you've misunderstood. Lu Zhong cupped his fists and said, it's just that Lu Zhong's status is low, and I can only control 100,000 troops under my command. Therefore, I dare not speak about the military affairs of the Seven Seas City. I think Princess Shi should wait for the real owner of the Seven Seas City to come before asking. The real owner of the Seven Seas City? Tang Xiaoxi felt a wave of irritation in her heart. She said, Lu Zhong, am I not the real owner of the Seven Seas City? Don't forget that you're a soldier of the Empire. You must obey your superiors. My title and military rank are many times higher than yours. If you continue to shirk the responsibility, I'll attack the wall. Attack the wall? Lu Zhong couldn't help but laugh. He looked at the campsite of the Kingdom Guarding Army and the Demon Clan Army and said with a smile, Princess Shi has brought less than 50,000 troops. I'm afraid you won't be able to do anything to the sturdy Seven Seas City. Moreover, Princess Shi doesn't even know how many Tang clan troops there are in the Seven Seas City. Wouldn't it hurt the Seven Seas King if you make such a big fuss? Cut the crap. When will the owner of the Seven Seas City come to see me? Very soon. Please wait for a while, Princess. Humph. Tang Xiaoxi was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down. The national suppressing whip in her hand was even faintly glowing with flames. If the people in the Seven Seas City didn't come out after a while, she might really start a massacre. In less than 30 minutes, a large number of troops came out of the Seven Seas City. The 8 gates opened at the same time, and tens of thousands of troops poured out. Most of them were spearmen and shield troops. After all, there were very few pastures in the Seven Seas City, so there were very few cavalrymen. In terms of the number of cavalrymen, the Seven Seas City was far less than the Sunset Rain City and the Lanyan City. Just when Tang Xiaoxi's patience was about to run out, a group of guards in golden armor came out of the fortress on horseback and surrounded a carriage with a canopy. Such a grand display must be the real owner. Tang Xiaoxi wasn't afraid. She urged her horse forward and waved the national suppressing whip. A strong wind swept out and rolled up the curtain of the carriage. She said in a low voice, "Come out and let me see who you are." Inside the carriage, a hand with burn marks was holding the hood. The person inside the carriage bent down and said with a smile, "Sister Xiaoxi, why is your temper getting worse and worse?" Ah, Tang Xiaoxi was shocked. Looking at the seriously burned person in front of her, she still recognized him. It was Tang Lu. The Tang Lu who was said to have been assassinated was actually not dead. Tang Lu, weren't you assassinated? Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. There are always bad people who want to harm this young master. However, I'm lucky. They can't kill me. Tang Lu raised his eyebrows and smiled. His body was brimming with a kind of arrogant momentum. On the contrary, Tang Xiaoxi smiled. It's good that you're not dead. This means that the Tang family still has descendants. Grandfather should be very happy. Right, let's get down to business. Why did the Tang family refuse to communicate with Lanyan City through letters? What have you been doing in the Seven Seas province for the past month? Tang Lu sternly said, Grandfather ordered me to recruit and train soldiers. Now, the Seven Seas city already has 300,000 troops. There are so many demon spies in Lanyan City. Grandfather is worried that the strength of the Seven Seas city will be leaked, so he ordered me to cut off the communication with Lanyan City. Now that the demon race is invading, it's time for my Tang family to show our strength. At this time, another group of people emerged from the fortress. They were all vassals of the Tang family. They were also generals who held military power. From Chiliarch to captaincy, there were nearly 100 people. Zhou Chong and the others were among them. Strictly speaking, the true military power of the Tang family's 300,000 troops was in the hands of these people. Tang Lu was just gathering them together. Hua! Tang Xiaoxi raised her arm. The golden imperial edict unfolded in her palm and said, Tang family, hear the edict. Tang Lu, Lu Zhong, and the others were startled and knelt down one after another. Tang Xiaoxi clearly said, in accordance with heaven's virtue, the Emperor's imperial edict orders Tang Xiaoxi to accept all the troops of the Empire in the Seven Seas province. Once the troops have arrived, immediately head to the Cangnan province to await deployment. Those who disobey will be immediately beheaded. Tang Lu, who was bowing on the ground, actually laughed. He raised his head and said with a smile, Xiaoxi, does Her Highness want to hand over the Tang family's troops to you? That's right. But Tang Lu stood up and said, there are 300,000 troops in the Seven Seas province. Grandfather ordered me to gather the troops at the Seven Seas Pass before leaving. Only by gathering the troops can we resist the powerful demon army. After all, the Tang family's troops are grandfather's blood and sweat. Xiaoxi, you are also grandfather's grandson. You should be able to understand grandfather's painstaking efforts, right? You. Tang Xiaoxi was enraged from the bottom of her heart and said, when will the 300,000 troops be gathered? At least half a month, at most 2 months. It doesn't matter. Just wait a little longer. Tang Lu's face was full of smiles. Tang Xiaoxi's face was cold as she said, what if I order you to immediately send the troops to Cangnan province? Then forgive me for not obeying. Tang Lu's face was full of determination as he said, as a descendant of the Tang family, I must obey grandfather's edict. As long as grandfather's personal letter doesn't reach my hands for a day, I will not send troops to Cangnan province. Xiaoxi, if you are in a hurry, I can allocate you 500 cavalrymen and let you first go to Cangnan province to resist the enemy. How about it? Motherf *Ker. Tang Zhen had a fiery temper. He directly pulled out his sword and said angrily, Tang Lu, you have repeatedly disobeyed the edict. It seems that you have already made up your mind to commit treason when the demon race invades. Tang Zhen. Tang Lu said in a grim voice, in any case, you're a member of my Tang family, yet you actually can't distinguish between inside and outside. Don't forget that I'm your young master. Are you courting death by being so rude? Tang Zhen gnashed his teeth as he urged his horse forward and said to Tang Xiaoxi in a low voice, Princess Shi, the Tang family is going to rebel. Once we leave, so long as there's the slightest news of losing the battle from the front lines, that bastard Tang Lu will surely mobilize 300,000 troops to attack Lanyan City. So long as Lanyan City falls into their hands, then Lanyan City, Qihai City, and Cold Star City will be able to form a triangular formation and be in an invincible position. Tang Lu has planned well. Tang Lu, that bastard. Tang Xiaoxi gritted her teeth as she suddenly spurred her horse to turn around and said, Tang Zhen, let's go. Mobilize all the troops in the endless forest. I want to defend Lanyan City for Shao Yin once more. Yes. As he watched Tang Xiaoxi and the others turn around and leave, Tang Lu couldn't help but take a deep breath and say, how dangerous. I was almost unable to endure the pressure. Tang Xiaoxi and Tang Zhen are being overbearing, and I'm afraid this matter won't end well. What should we do? Lu Zhong cupped his fists and said, young master, don't worry. The kingdom garrison army only has a total of 50,000 to 60,000 troops, and coupled with the demon race and barbaric race, it would absolutely not exceed 250,000 troops. They're just a motley crew. So long as we send out the 47,000 Seven Seas cavalry to charge into the battle, I guarantee that not a single one of them will be left alive. Not to mention we have the Seven Seas Pass, so there's utterly no need to go to war with them in the wilderness. What do you mean? Heh. Lu Zhong's eyes were filled with cunning as he said, the devil race has mobilized an entire 500,000 troops this time. How could Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, and the others possibly resist them? Not to mention that the Iha kingdom is ready to make a move, and Qin Yi has always had the intention of establishing hegemony and wholeheartedly wants to retake the North Ridge. So, Qin Yin will surely be unable to pass this hurdle. Once the front lines fail, then Tang Xiaoxi will surely dispatch the demon race's troops to reinforce Qin Yin. Coupled with Su Muyun's always harboring ulterior motives, we just have to wait, and we'll be able to wait for a situation where the world is divided into 5. Tang Lu couldn't help but roar with laughter. I have Count Tianji, it's truly like adding wings to a tiger. Chapter 582. To the east of Zhonglin Valley, the mountain range stretched for dozens of miles. The mountain path was extremely steep, and even the hunters who lived in the mountains for a long time did not dare to climb it easily. However, a group of thick-skinned armor demons had already appeared among the thorns. They waved their battle axes to clear a path, and the thousands of armor demons on the top of a small hill were all cut down in the blink of an eye. Whoosh whoosh, the sound of flapping wings came from the sky. It was the air transport army formed by the winged people. The winged people were thin and weak. Only the wings on their backs were very powerful, and their chests and abdomens were very thin. A winged people could only carry less than 15 kilograms, but 7 or 8 winged people in the air each had a rope tied to their legs. Together, they pulled a high-level demon over the mountain range, and more winged people appeared in the air. The Qianfeng army and the Thunder Rush army had a total of 70,000 winged people. It seemed that Qianfeng had taken a fancy to such a powerful air transport force. Not long after, the neighing of warhorses could be heard in the air. Some armor and weapons were also transported up by the winged people. Whoosh! A figure climbed up the cliff like a ghost and came to the mountain range as if he was walking on flat ground. A white cloak fluttered behind him, and his battle boots stepped on the fallen leaves as he walked west. It was Qianfeng. His eyes were filled with coldness as he looked straight at Zhonglin Valley in the west. That was where his greatest enemy was stationed. In the forest, the high-level demons who had been dropped by the winged people all knelt down and cupped their fists. Greetings, Marshal. Rise. Qianfeng's gaze was unwavering as he looked to the west. How far are we from the Empire's army? In the crowd, Lian Xiao raised his head and said calmly, reporting to Marshal, Zhonglin Valley is a rectangular valley. It is about 20 kilometers long and 5 kilometers wide. The army of the human empire is on the open land outside of the valley. According to the intelligence sent by the winged people, they have at least 300,000 soldiers gathered in the west of Zhonglin Valley, waiting for us. 300,000? Qianfeng frowned and said, how many armor demons have entered Zhonglin Valley? Less than 100,000. Order them to speed up the delivery. Pass down my order, occupy the mountain ranges on both sides of the Zhonglin Valley and occupy the high ground. Once the humans launch an attack, we will attack from the mountain ranges on both sides. No matter how many people they have, they will all die. Yes. Lian Zhao nodded heavily, but then asked, Marshal, we have occupied the high ground, and the season has just warmed up. Once the humans attack with fire, the forest will catch fire, and I'm afraid we will lose. Don't worry. The snow on the ground is melting. The fire won't start in at least 5 days. However, within 5 days, our army of armored demons will be able to flatten the humans' position. Order the flying snakes to stay in the eastern valley. Don't act rashly until I give the order. Yes. On the west side of the Canglin Valley, the Empire's war flags fluttered in the wind. Xiangyu's army was the vanguard. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers and horses had blocked off the entire west exit of the Canglin Valley. Everyone was busy digging traps, setting up antlers and other defensive structures. Xiangyu carried his long spear and walked among the crowd, his brows furrowed. The group of Tang family soldiers behind him did not look too good. Military intelligence had arrived in the morning. The demonic tribe had appeared in the Canglin Valley. This battle was imminent. In the history of the Empire, no army had ever won a head-on battle with the demonic tribe. Marquis, look over there. A captaincy suddenly pointed at the forest in the distance. There, a group of people nimbly traversed through the forest, as if the difficult terrain did not hinder them. Moreover, this group of generals all wore the golden dragon insignia of the Longdan army camp, reflecting dazzling light under the sun. Is that Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and the others? Xiangyu asked. What are they doing there? Probably to survey the terrain. Interesting, Xiangyu smiled slightly. Is the black beach oil ready on the 2 sides of the mountain? Yes. As long as the demonic tribe dares to station their troops on the high ground, I guarantee that even their mothers won't recognize them. Heh, that's good. In the forest, Lin Muyu led a dozen or so Longdan army camp generals of high cultivation to survey the terrain. Everyone leaped, bent, or climbed in the forest like agile apes. Not long after, they could see the figures of the armor demons in the valley in the distance. Swoosh! Lin Muyu leaped and landed on a huge rock that was several meters high. Looking into the distance, she frowned and said, Is Qianfeng really planning to fight the Empire's army in the Canglin Valley? What's wrong, Your Excellency? Isn't this normal? Wei Chou asked. Lin Muyu said, It's true that we are no match for the demonic tribe in terms of positional warfare, but who do you think Xiangyu is? I'm sure he has already prepared a trap. Even if Qianfeng can defeat Xiangyu's army, I'm afraid he will suffer heavy losses. The Qianfeng I know would never do such a stupid thing. Situ-san gripped his long sword tightly and said, Your Excellency, we are bringing up the rear anyway. There's no need to survey the terrain. It's best if Xiangyu's army is defeated. In any case, his troops are all Tangland's trusted subordinates. We won't feel bad at all. With Xiangyu's defeat, we are destined to suffer a crushing defeat from the demonic tribe. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, How are the preparations for our demonic crystal cannons? They have all gone ashore and hidden in the dense forest. They won't be discovered for the time being. Order them to be on standby and await orders. Yes. When night fell, at the passive sword pavilion, the dozens of meter-tall walls of the fortress looked extremely majestic. The armored soldiers were like a forest, and the flag of the Iha Empire fluttered in the wind. On a small path to the north of Sword Pavilion, a man in a grey robe rode over. The warhorse he was riding was extremely handsome and had streaks of green fur on its body. It didn't look like a warhorse of the Central Plains. He came straight to the fortress before stopping his warhorse. He raised his head and said, Sir on the wall, please inform Marshal Ji Yao that an old friend has come to visit. On the wall, one of the guards couldn't help but laugh, just anyone dares to come and ask to see our marshal? You should go. The marshal is busy with military affairs and has no time to see an idle person like you. The man below the wall laughed and suddenly raised his hand. A shining object flew through the wind and shot into the stone wall beside the general with a clang. Half of it was exposed outside. It was a magic crystal coin. If he had wanted to kill the general, he would have been a corpse by now. Sir, this is a greeting gift. Please pass on the message for me. This. The general took out the magic crystal coin with lingering fear. He knew that the only place that used magic crystal coins on the continent was the demon race. Not long after, the gate of the fortress opened and the visitor was welcomed in. He had been hiding his face under the cloak the whole time and just followed the soldier into Ji Yao's residence. The candlelight on the wall reflected a faint bloody light. Ji Yao raised one hand and said, "You can all leave. I want to talk to the honored guest alone." "Yes, Marshal." After everyone left, the grey robe lifted his cloak and revealed an extremely handsome face. It was Qian Feng. He cupped his fists and smiled. "Qian Feng of the celestial race greets Marshal Ji Yao. Marshal Qian Feng is too courteous." Ji Yao stood up, clasped his hands, and bowed. "I wonder what brings you here today, General Qian Feng?" Qian Feng said, "I have an agreement with Marshal Ji Yao to divide the territory of the Qin dynasty." "Oh? What do you mean?" "The celestial race is about to fight with the Empire. Although we can defeat the Empire with our army, we will also suffer great losses. So." Qian Feng's lips curled up, "So I boldly ask for Marshal's help. 3 days later, the celestial race will launch an attack in Canglin Valley. As long as Marshal sends 100,000 people out of Sword Pavilion to attack the flank of the Empire's army from the south of Canglin Valley, we will definitely defeat the Empire's army. At that time, the celestial race will take Heaven's Pivot Province and the rich Cangnan Province will be given to Marshal. What do you think?" The celestial race is really willing to form an alliance with the Han nation? Ji Yao suppressed his excitement. "Why not?" Qian Feng smiled, "A gentleman's word is as good as a whip on a fast horse. As long as Marshal Ji Yao gives the word, the celestial race will launch an attack in 3 days. It will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As long as Marshal sends the troops, you will be able to establish an immortal merit. I, Qian Feng, hereby swear that the celestial race will not offend your army in this battle. You can chase the Empire's army to your heart's content." Ji Yao took a deep breath and said, "If that's the case, thank you, Marshal Qian Feng. Let's drink and chat merrily after we destroy the Empire." "All right, then. I will dismount and go back to arrange the battle." "Yes, forgive me for not seeing you off." As soon as Qian Feng left, 2 people walked out from a dark corner of the room. One was Yi Xuanhuan, the other was Qin Huan. The demon race is vicious. Making a deal with the demon race is like asking a tiger for its skin. Qin Huan clenched his fists and said, "Perhaps Qian Feng has already forgotten how he massacred hundreds of thousands of Iha nation citizens under the steel walls." Yi Xuanhuan smiled, "Marshal Ji doesn't really believe Qian Feng, right?" Ji Yao smiled, "How could that be? Just as His Highness said, making a deal with the demon race is like asking a tiger for its skin." "Humph, no matter what Qian Feng says, we will bide our time. It won't be too late to attack when a heaven-sent opportunity appears." Qin Huan said, "This matter is up to Marshal Ji. I believe that Imperial Father's judgment in appointing you as Marshal is not wrong." "Oh right, will Divine Monarch Huo Wu fight with us?" "Yes, this is what she has promised." "Yes, that's for the best. Prepare all the heavenly book embryos, Divine Monarch Huo Wu's power, and our hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Once we come out of seclusion, it will be the end of the Empire." He. Ji Yao's face was full of pride as he said, it's best if we can kill two birds with one stone, destroying the empire and injuring the demon race at the same time. At that time, we will unify the continent's 12 provinces and rebuild the glorious empire. Everyone will be collectively known as the Empire, and His Highness will be the true heir. Qin Huan also smiled. Imperial Father will not neglect Marshal Ji and will definitely not omit the matter of conferring the title of king. Ah. Ha ha ha. Come, let's have a drink first. Chapter 583. At dusk the next day, the last golden rays of the setting sun shone on the pillars of the main hall of Bailing City, reflecting rays of golden light. In the main hall, a group of officials stood in great numbers, and the commander-in-chief, Qin Yi, wore a golden dragon robe and sat on the throne. During the Iha nation's uprising, Qin Yi raised the banner of "All living beings are equal, and people are benevolent." Now, his health was deteriorating day by day, and his desire to ascend to the throne was growing stronger. "Commander-in-chief, an envoy from the Empire," an attendant said loudly. "An envoy from the Empire?" Qin Yi frowned, and said, "Send it in." Yes. Not long after, a woman walked in. It was Qin Yin's personal female official, Shangguan Jingyue. Shangguan Jingyue's figure was graceful, and she leisurely walked forward. After giving Qin Yi the etiquette of an empire's lady, she said, "Commander-in-chief Qin Yi, this is a letter written by Her Majesty the Empress herself. It's a letter to your family." "Bring it up," Qin Yi said without looking sideways. The attendant presented Qin Yin's letter to Qin Yi. Qin Yi opened the letter, and lines of beautiful handwriting came into view. Qin Yin's calligraphy was passed down from Qin Jin, and could be said to be the best in the empire. However, Qin Yi hated these lines of beautiful handwriting. Only when he saw these words did he finally calm down a little. "Uncle, Qin Yin respectfully sends her regards." Now that the demon race has made a comeback and swept across Cangnan with an army of 500,000, the demon emperor, with Qian Feng and Lei Chong as his commanders, is determined to obtain the Central Plains. The empire and the Iha nation are interdependent, and I hope that uncle can let bygones be bygones, dispatch troops to the sword pavilion, and join the army of the empire to annihilate the demon race, Qin Yin. Ha ha ha. Qin Yi couldn't help laughing, and his eyes were cold. He looked at Shangguan Jingyue and said, "Your empress has famous generals like Feng Jixing, Lin Muyu, and Xiang Yu under her command. She can expel the demon race with one hand, so why does she need the help of the Iha nation?" Shangguan Jingyue said respectfully, "Commander-in-chief, the demon race is powerful, and cannot be resisted by a nation. Her Majesty said that as long as you are willing to dispatch troops to assist the empire, and the demon race retreats, Her Majesty is willing to cede Lingdong province and Tongtian province to the Iha nation." "Qin Yin, does this little girl think I'm stupid?" Qin Yi narrowed his eyes and smiled. "These two provinces are meat in the mouths of the demon race. No one can eat them. Rather than giving such insincere conditions, why don't we change the conditions of the alliance?" "Oh? What does the Iha nation want?" Qin Yi said, "I can send troops from the Iha nation, but their military strength is very limited. Furthermore, they are in dire need of soldiers. How about this? The Iha nation sends 200,000 troops, and the empire must give me 1 billion Jinin coins, plus the 4 southern prefectures of Cangnan province. How about it? If Qin Yin is willing to agree, you can sign the credence. Someone, draft the credence." Yes. The so-called credence was a letter of negotiation between nations. Once it was signed, it couldn't be violated. Otherwise, it would be a violation of the credibility of the nation. Shangguan Jingyue stood there quietly like a fairy. Not long after, an official came to Shangguan Jingyue with 2 scrolls of credence and said with a smile, "Madam Envoy, please sign it. As long as you sign it, the commander-in-chief will definitely send troops." Shangguan Jinghua looked up at Qin Yi and said, "The Empire and the Yihe nation are interdependent. I hope that the Commander-in-Chief will consider the big picture and fulfill his promise. Don't let Her Majesty down. Don't worry." Thus, Shangguan Jinghua signed it. Qin Yi also waved his brush and kept one of the credence for the national treasury. He gave the other to Shangguan Jinghua and said, "Go back and tell Qin Yi that I will immediately send a letter to Marshal Ji Yao. He will naturally act according to the circumstances. Yes, then this little girl will take her leave." Shangguan Jinghua slowly left the hall. When she came outside, a few imperial attendants came forward and said, "Madam, has the Prince of Jiangnan already agreed to send troops?" "No." Shangguan Jinghua smiled faintly and said, "What a good, acting according to the circumstances. Let's go, His Highness is still waiting for our news." "Yes. Acting according to the circumstances?" In the Longdan army camp, Qin Yi couldn't help but laugh. "I'm afraid that this uncle of mine won't tell anyone the truth, right? To put it nicely, it's acting according to the circumstances. To put it bluntly, I'm afraid that he doesn't want us to have any chance of winning the battle with the demon race. He still wants the Empire to give them 1 billion Jinin coins. It's simply wishful thinking." At the side, Lin Muyu said, "The troops of the demon race are increasing in Songlin Valley. The battle will definitely start within 3 days. I wonder how the preparations of the front, middle, left and right armies are going." Qin Yi looked up. The group of generals were solemn. Xiangyu cupped his fists and said, "Reporting to Your Highness, the front army of 150,000 soldiers is ready for battle. We have dug nearly 3 miles of pits. As long as the demon race comes, we can use the pits to kill 20,000 armor demons. We have also prepared black beech oil and arrow boxes. This time, we are well prepared. Even if the demon race army comes, we have a good chance of winning." Luo Xian had already been appointed as the commander of the Iron Blade Army by Su Muyun. He also cupped his fists and said, "The Iron Blade Army has 100,000 elite soldiers guarding the Middle Army. Your Highness, please rest assured." Following that, Su Long also indicated that the preparations were complete. On the contrary, Zheng Yifan was leisurely drinking his tea with a faint smile on his aged face. He said, "There are thousands of winged people hovering above the Empire's army. I'm afraid our every move is under their observation. Since we have made so many preparations, Qianfeng is not a fool. He will not take the initiative to enter our pit. I think, General Xiang, you should make preparations in advance to fight in the wilderness. Choose the battlefield and set up the army formation. This way, you still have a chance of winning." Xiang Yu nodded. "Yes, thank you for your advice, Divine Marquis. I will." Everyone was silent for a while. Lin Muyu asked, "Has there been any news from Shaoxi? Where are the troops of the Seven Seas City? How many troops do they have?" Shangguan Jinghua said, "Princess Xi's letter arrived in the afternoon. The Seven Seas City's troops have all been dispatched. There are more than 300,000 of them. However, they refuse to go to Cangnan province. They said that unless they see the letter from the Seven Seas King, Tang Lan, they can only guard the Seven Seas Pass. They actually dare to disobey His Highness's orders?" Su Muyun suddenly stood up and said without anger, "Are the people of the Seven Seas City rebelling?" Qin Yi smiled. "Grandfather, don't be angry. I believe they don't mean that. It's just that Tang Lu is in the Seven Seas Pass and has the Tang sect's iron order. In addition to his special status, I'm afraid that the Seven Seas army will not listen to his orders." Lin Muyu said coldly, "Wait until we finish fighting the demon race, then we'll take care of them." At the side, Xiang Yu's expression was somewhat ugly. After all, he was the son-in-law of the Tang clan. Qin Yi asked again, "Is there any news from General Feng?" They just arrived at Black Pine Pass not long ago. They are currently arranging the garrison, Suyun said. That's good. The bright moon shone on the icy Qinling Mountains as a cold wind howled past Ink Pine Pass. Although it was already spring, the nights at Ink Pine Pass were unusually cold. The fortress could only hold 50,000 men at most, and the rest had to be stationed outside the pass. As a result, the Zither Dragon Army, Imperial Army, and Tang Shi's army set up camp to the north of Ink Pine Pass. Their banners flying for dozens of li snow continued to fall on Black Pine Pass. When it landed on one's skin, it was indescribably cold. Feng Jixing gently rubbed his palms to warm himself up. Su Yu, who was beside him, used a coarse crystal telescope to look into the distance. She saw the lights in the direction of Fiery Moon City, and Long Qianlin's barracks stretched as far as the eye could see. They were too close to Black Pine Pass, so much so that they could reach Black Pine Pass in just 4 hours. We only have a few 100,000 troops. Su'er pouted and said, Long Qianlin and Ding Shi have nearly 500,000 soldiers in total. If the two of them want to attack Ink Pine Pass, can we really stop them? Feng Jixing's king's battle flame surged around his palms to warm himself. He smiled and said, Long Qianlin and Ding Shi should also understand that if the lips are gone, the teeth will be interdependent. Once the demon race attacks, the Iha country will not be able to stay out of it. They will not attack first. Even if they do, Black Pine Pass is so strong that they will not be able to take it in a short time. Su Yu looked into the distance. We can only do this. I hope the battle with Xiao Yin will go smoothly. Don't worry. With you helping her, even if they cannot win, they will not lose miserably. At this time, Tang Shi, who was clad in crimson armor, walked up to the top of the fortress and said with a smile, Commander Feng, Commander Su, the rations and armaments have all been prepared. It's enough for us to stay here for more than 2 months. Good. Commander Tang Shi, thank you for your hard work. It's nothing. It's my duty. Duke Lan. Oh no, His Highness the Seven Seas King is already resting. You two should also rest early, right? Okay. Feng Jixing took another deep look at the vague shadows of Fiery Moon City in the night. His brows gradually furrowed. Deep in his heart, he believed that Ding Shi and Long Qianlin wouldn't advance, but he had a premonition that Ding Shi and Long Qianlin would definitely not let go of such a great opportunity to retake the 3 passes of Qinling Mountains. Tuck, 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 a group of light cavalry galloped straight into Fiery Moon City under the moonlight. The general at the front wore 3 gold stars on his collar. It was Ding Shi, one of the 7 marshals of the Iha country. Marshal Ding Shi has arrived. The guard shouted. On top of the city wall, a man leaped down. To him, the 15-meter-tall city wall seemed like child's play. His feet stepped on a vortex of battle qi as he floated down to the ground, completely unharmed. It was Long Qianlin, who was inspecting the military situation outside the city. He stepped forward and smiled, Marshal Ding Shi, why have you come so late at night? Ding Shi's expression was ashen. Marshal Long, this general has brought a personal letter from the commander-in-chief. It's for the 2 of us. Oh? What news does the commander-in-chief have? He ordered me to attack Ink Pine Pass on the 1st of February. I must retake the 3 passes within 15 days and then send troops north to conquer the entire Earth Star province within 10 days. What? Long Qianlin was astonished. Did I hear wrongly? We're going to declare war on the Empire when the demonic army is invading? Ding Shi slapped the letter into his hand. The commander-in-chief's letter is here. Do as you see fit. The 1st of February is tomorrow, and we don't have much time. If we decide to go to war tomorrow, we must assemble the rations and armaments by tonight. Long Qianlin frowned. We just received a report that Ink Pine Pass is garrisoned with close to 180,000 men under Feng Jixing's command. I'm afraid, it won't be easy to take the 3 passes from Feng Jixing's hands, will it? Ding Shi smiled with a hint of mockery. Marshal Ding, what do you mean by this? What are you smiling about? Long Qianlin's heart was pounding. Ding Shi drank a mouthful of wine from his water skin and glanced at him. Who are you, Long Qianlin? Is there anyone in the Iha country who knows how to use troops better than you? No matter how powerful Feng Jixing is, he can only guard 1 pass because he can't split himself. As for the other 2, you don't need me to remind you, do you? Long Qianlin laughed. Marshal Ding lives up to his reputation. Chapter 584. Wazile. Pan Toad. In the jungle of Canglin Valley came the unknown sounds of armor demons. Humans could not understand the sounds of armor demons, even many advanced demons could not understand the sounds of armor demons. After all, this kind of fierce beast was a real monster hatched from worm nests. Their innate language could not be easily understood by other races. In the east of a cliff covered with moss, dense armor demons were chopping trees with blunt weapons. As a result, trees were chopped off one after another and fell down. In the bamboo woods not far away, many armor demons were chopping bamboo woods. These bamboos had been growing in the deep mountains for many years. The diameter of the bamboo pipes was almost 30 centimeters thick and very tough. Pan Toad. An armored demon wearing the emblem of Chiliarch raised his spear and exclaimed loudly as he stepped forward and kicked the butt of a slower armored demon. That armored demon fell to the ground as he turned around and roared furiously. Unexpectedly, the Chiliarch also opened his bloody mouth and roared, releasing a strong bloody smell. In a split second, that young armored demon was scared out of his wits and dared not resist anymore. It seemed that in the world of armored demons, the one with the louder voice was the most powerful one. Huh, what a bunch of idiots. On a rock dozens of meters away, Qianfeng was supervising the work with a group of high-level demons. On one side, Lei Chong was also standing with some captaincy-level armor demons with his battle hammer. After hearing Qianfeng's words, Lei Chong was a bit displeased. He turned around and said in a non-standard language of Broken Cauldron Realm, Marshal Qianfeng, armor demons are working very hard. Don't tease them anymore. Don't forget that the Armor Demon Corps is the forerunner of the God Clan's attack. If we unify the continent, the Armor Demon Corps will make a great contribution. Smiling, Qianfeng cupped his fists and said, I'm sorry, General Lei Chong. I didn't mean to disrespect you. However, the intelligence of the armor demons is indeed very low. There are very few generals like General Lei Chong who are good at both the pen and the sword. Lei Chong felt embarrassed to be angry. He said in a hoarse voice, Marshal, can you tell me why you ordered the soldiers to cut down the woods? His Majesty has ordered us to fight the enemies side by side. You shouldn't hide it from me. Well, Qianfeng thought for a moment and said, the giant trees on the east side of Canglin Valley are all over 100 years old. They are tens of meters long and are extremely sturdy. I plan to use these giant trees to avoid the traps dug by the humans. After all, the humans are too cunning. There is no way they wouldn't set up an ambush along our route. What about the bamboo? I haven't thought about it yet. If Marshal Lei Chong is free, please dispatch another armored demon army to collect the weeds in the valley for me. I need them. Lei Chong was confused. Marshal, I can understand using trees to block the humans' traps, but what's the use of weeds? Do you think we can use weeds to destroy the Empire's army? Qianfeng groaned inwardly. He didn't want to reveal military secrets, but Lei Chong's status was too high. He had to find a way to fool him. So he smiled and said, recently, Some armor demons have become vegetarians. They don't eat meat, they eat grass. Oh, I see. I'll do it right away. Lei Chong felt relieved. He turned around and walked only a few steps before he felt that something was wrong. However, he simply ignored it. Before leaving, the versatile demon emperor had ordered him to fight side by side with Qianfeng this time. He only needed to be the vanguard and should not intervene in the strategy. In fact, Lei Chong despised Qianfeng, who was full of evil tricks, very much. He thought that Qianfeng was so bad that he didn't deserve to be a member of the Protoss. Therefore, in the valley on the east side of Zhonglin Valley, tens of thousands of armor demons worked in full swing. The trees and bamboo groves were razed to the ground in a blink of an eye. The branches and leaves of the giant trees were cut off and piled up in the demon camp. All the bamboos were sent to the camp of the advanced demons for processing. In the blink of an eye, it was already afternoon. The warm sun of early spring shone on the earth, giving people a sense of laziness. As a result, many patrolling soldiers outside the imperial camp fell asleep on the rocks with their spears in their arms. They were too tired. Many of them had run all the way from Lanyan City to Zhonglin Valley on their own feet. They were already exhausted. Outside the central tent, a group of soldiers stood guard. There were people from the Valiant Dragon Army, the Steel Blade Army, and the God Might Battalion. Inside the tent, purple smoke slowly rose from the incense burner and lingered in the tent for a long time. Beside the huge sand table, Lin Muyu and Xiang Yu stood facing each other, while Su Muyun, Zhen Yifan, and the other veteran generals sat at the side. Empress Qin Yin was dressed in a well-ironed female military uniform of the Empire with a golden cloak behind her. She looked at the crowd and said, "It's been 3 days, and there hasn't been any movement from the demons. What are they thinking?" "It's not that there hasn't been any movement," Lin Muyu replied. "Oh?" Lin Muyu pointed to the east side of Zhonglin Valley on the map and said, "The spies of the Longdan army camp have obtained the latest military intelligence. Lei Chong and Qianfeng are leading the Armor Demon Legion to cut down the forest in this location." "Cutting down the forest?" Xiang Yu frowned and said, "They must be crazy. Why are they cutting down the forest? Don't tell me they want to build a complete camp in Zhonglin Valley? I don't think so." Lin Muyu smiled and said, "Qianfeng never does meaningless things, and it's the same this time. In addition, we also found out that the demons are collecting bamboo and weeds." "Bamboo and weeds?" Zheng Yifan frowned and said, "What does Qianfeng want to do with bamboo and weeds?" "I don't know." Lin Muyu shook her head and said, "This time, I really can't guess Qianfeng's thoughts. Perhaps Qianfeng plans to use trees, bamboo, and weeds to win by surprise?" Zheng Yifan narrowed his eyes and said, "Whether it's trees, bamboo, or weeds, they are all flammable things. In that case, as the vanguard, Lord Xiang Yu should prepare more materials to ignite the fire. In addition, provide the soldiers with water to extinguish the fire, and be ready to attack with fire at any time to deal with Qianfeng's strategy." Xiang Yu nodded and said, "Yes, thank you for your advice." Qin Yin said, "When do you think the demons will attack?" Xiang Yu smiled and said, "Zhonglin Valley has already gathered nearly 200,000 demon troops. Among them, the armor demons are the main force. The rest of the 300,000 troops are mostly distributed in the east of Zhangnan Province and Lingdong Province. It seems that Qianfeng only plans to use 200,000 troops to fight us. As soon as they are prepared, the war will begin." Su Muyun said with the spear in his hand, "The armor demons are brave and can fight against 10. Even if they only have 200,000 troops, they can easily defeat our 300,000 troops in a field battle. Of course, the premise is that we don't use any tricks." Qin Yin smiled and said, "Grandfather, do you have any plans?" "No." Su Muyun shook his head and said, "My only hope is that Qin Yi will really send out his troops. The Iha nation's army will leave Sword Pavilion and attack the demons' rear. This way, no matter how strong the demons are, they will definitely suffer heavy losses. Yes, grandfather is right. Qin Yi nodded and said, I also hope so, but this hope is too slim. How could Qin Yi, that old fox, let his trump card troops participate in this unnecessary war? At the side, Xiangyu cupped his fists and said, Your Highness, please rest assured. This subordinate will definitely defend the position well. No matter how strong the demons are, we will not give in an inch. Marquis Pingnan has worked hard. Situsen could not help but laugh and said in a low voice, It's a pity that Xiangyu's title is Marquis Pingnan and not Marquis Anong. Otherwise, we might really be able to win this war. Lin Muyu glared at him, indicating that he should not speak carelessly. After the afternoon meeting was dismissed, Lin Muyu returned to her camp. Wei Chou, Situ Sun, Situ Shui, and Fengshi followed her in. Lord Commander. Wei Chou cupped his fists and said, According to my observations, the demon clan's camp has already accumulated a large number of trees. These trees are dozens of meters long, and should be used to fill the pit dug by Xiangyu. The supplies are already sufficient, and the demon clan's large-scale attack will only take a day or two. We should make arrangements early. This is the reason why I called you all over. Lin Muyu spread out the map on the table and said, The terrain outside of Canglin Valley is very rugged and not conducive to retreat. I think. Wei Chou, you have brought people to investigate. Does this terrain have a name? There is no name. This valley is mostly made up of rocks and there is little soil. It is impossible to grow crops, so the locals do not come here at all. At most, it is a few hunters who come here to hunt. Why, has the commander taken a fancy to this land? Yes. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. There are two ways to retreat from Canglin Valley. One is the main road, going straight to the Unicorn Forest, and the other is this unknown valley. Wei Chou, you make the arrangements. You must set up our 100 magic crystal cannons on both sides of this valley within 3 days. Yes. On the other hand, Situ Shui, who was standing to the side, was taken aback for a moment, her beautiful eyes filled with doubt. Commander, this valley is at least 20 kilometers away from the Canglin Valley. If we set up the magic crystal cannons here, may I ask what use they have? Situ Sun took a deep breath and said, Commander, do you think Xiangyu, Su Long, Luo Xian, and the others will be defeated? I don't know. Lin Muyu shook her head, but the task of the Longdan army camp this time is to bring up the rear. I must be fully prepared. Set up all our magic crystal cannons here. Once the Imperial army is defeated, someone must be here to stop the iron hooves of the Armor Demon Legion. Yes. Wei Chou's eyes were burning like flames. He said with a smile, I believe in Commander on the strategic matters. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, Wei Chou, come closer. There is one more thing I want to tell you in secret. Yes, madam. Wei Chou moved forward, and after Lin Muyu whispered a few words in his ear, Wei Chou's face suddenly became livid, and then filled with excitement and joy. He cupped his fist and said, Don't worry, madam. This subordinate will definitely do a good job. All right. Lin Muyu said with a smile, Wei Chou, go secretly deploy the magic crystal cannons. General Shui, go prepare the cavalry regiment of the Longdan army camp. Situ Sun, Fengshi, you two control the 50,000 elites of the Longdan army camp. Set up the camp here, and wait for the demons to attack. Pa. The knuckles of her index finger heavily tapped on the map on the table. You're tuning in to the Unparalleled SwordWill YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.